Good evening, all. Thank you for coming. Would you please rise for the pledge? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming. Roll call. John Hodge is here.
Really here.
John Mullen here.
Yes, John Mullen here. He has been sworn in as our newest selectman. His term of office is until March of 2019, at which point there will be an election to fill the position. Anyone who's welcome to run, that would be a one-year slot to finish what is really the third year of John Clary's term. Then after that, which would be 2020, we'd go back to a three-year election. Okay? Thank you for offering to sit with us. Don't know if this can be as exciting as the State House, but we'll do our best. Okay?
All depends.
And a question for Tammy, as long as you're here. I don't think Joe can do this till he gets your approval, but we would like to change his name to John so we can have all Johns up there.
Hey, Ramon, I'm gonna replace you.
Okay, getting started, please. Minutes, Board of Selectmen meeting from May 7th. I've read that already.
Yeah, I looked at it, and I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the May 7th, 2018 meeting as written.
Abstain.
Okay.
I wasn't here.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, next, tax warrant, please.
When?
John to the factor. Yes.
You can go ahead and,
Okay.
people that you go first.
Okay, this is the Kathy Delaney, collector of taxes. In the state, you're hereby directed to collect property taxes in the list herein committed to you, amounting to the sum of $2,239,820, and with interest at 12% per annum from July 5th, 2018 thereafter on all sums not paid on or before that day. Okay? We're not saying that we're owed, the people are behind. We're saying this is the next group of taxes. Okay? We further order you to remit all copies to the town treasurer, to the town treasurer's designee, at least a weekly basis, or whenever daily tax receipts total $1,500 or more. Okay? Given under our hands, Middleton, New Hampshire, this 14th day of May 2018. And it has all three selected. Okay? So it's the paperwork telling us to go ahead and start collecting taxes. All right? Okay, any discussion from anybody? Okay, all right. We need a warrant, motion? Well, he just needs to
I
be
move to
signed.
accept as read.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, okay. Here we go. Next item, veteran tax credits.
These have all been reviewed by the assessor. The first one is approved by them, the other two, I believe it is, are not approvable. Or no, three. They do not meet the criteria to qualify.
Okay.
And you'll see the reasoning in that, call it section there.
Okay. So here's one that's approved by the assessor. We need the name on the backside. Paul and Sharon Ford, 141 Drew Drive, Middleton. Okay? all of you know what a tax credit is for a veteran, okay? You are entitled to a deduction on your taxes for the residence you live in, okay? If you reside in Maine, but have a summer home here, you only get a tax credit on the town, the place you reside in, which would be Maine, okay, or Massachusetts, or Peterborough, New Hampshire. You only get it once, okay? All right, so we're all right? By the way, this person, I guess it's Paul, but it could be Sharon, doesn't matter. Navy combination medal with a V device and Kosovo campaign medal. Next one is Roberta, I think it's Clute, 338 New Durham Road, Middleton. This one has been denied, does not qualify in that there was no qualifying armed conflict or war, no qualifying medals. Everybody understands the difference between serving and being a veteran. There was a time when veteran meant you served in the war. We've become somewhat more liberal in our society now, and that anyone who serves is considered a veteran. But in terms of certain benefits, it still applies that you have to have served in some sort of conflict, or at least been on active duty. For example, in Vietnam, yeah, I went to Vietnam, I'm a veteran. But if someone was stationed in Naval Air Station, Jacksonville, Florida for the entire time that they were on active duty, they're still a Vietnam veteran, okay? I think the Vietnam War ran from 63 to 75. If you served anywhere near, you're considered a Vietnam veteran, whether you actually went to Vietnam or not, okay? So, this one has been denied.
For us older dudes, the Korean War still counted.
Or World War II.
John.
He said,
John, was there
Nolan
a
said, World War
time
II.
limit on Korean War, or is it, the war is still ongoing?
Oh. It actually still was never considered a war.
Continuation.
But
Yeah, it was a conflict.
Richard Wilkins,
What was that one,
292 Silver Street. Does not qualify, no qualifying war or armed conflict, no qualifying medal, okay? By the way, Gwen, who decides this?
The assessor.
It's not you.
Well, it's statute, state of New Hampshire statute.
Right, but,
The assessor reviews them all.
right, you do not. This is
No.
just you presented to us, okay? David and Lynn Esposito, 308 Pinkham Road, Middleton. And same, does not qualify, no qualifying war or armed conflict, no qualifying medal.
Hey, Joe, don't all of you sign those?
Yeah, he can sign it, he
I thought
wasn't,
so too.
Yeah,
I had those
give him a
ready,
place for him to
I
sign.
had those ready last week, so
Okay, okay.
if you go ahead and do that,
they
you
can
might as
give
well
them
get more
one line, they
cards
qualify
on
under
too.
two of them.
There you go.
Some military benefits have nothing to do with being a veteran. For example, the GI Bill is eligible to anyone who served, okay? You're eligible for a VA loan if you served. okay? What's the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day? You don't, everybody has relatives.
day for soldiers who died.
Memorial Day is for people who died in service of the country. Veterans Day is ones that might still be alive or died, but for a veteran of the war. All right, current use application, please.
Coach Kathy, ready after I notarize?
Yeah, yes, thank you.
I'll make sure you have a
Yes,
copy of that.
thank you. Yes.
Stop hogging up all the meeting, Gwen. Stop hogging up all the meeting.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
leave. I have a few more things and then I'll leave. I've been stockpiling it.
Folks know what current use means? You get charged less per year for taxes as long as it stays in current use. But woe be to the person who 10 years from now sells it to someone else and that person wants to develop it, right? That person pays heavily, or somebody pays.
It's a 10% penalty of
10%.
the market value of the land being removed from current use from the time, but at that point in time, it's that market value established at that date.
Doesn't even have to change hands. I could own the property for 10 years, current use, and then I decide to develop it, and I have to pay all the back penalties, right?
It's a one-time penalty. It's 10% of the market value at the time the land change occurs, meaning you take it out of current use. If you decide, like say you take out 2 acres and it's assessed at $24,000 market value, you pay a $2,400 penalty, your 2 acres comes out. If later on down the road you decide you need another acre out for, that you're going to develop, and that acre's worth $12,000, well then you're gonna incur a $1,200 penalty at the time that property changes.
If the property is put in current use, are there some demands on the property, like people can walk on your property?
Yes.
Am I thinking that correctly?
If you post it no trap, if you allow fishing, hiking, hunting, sightseeing, bird watching, you can get a further reduction off that value. It's called the 20% recreational adjustment. But if you post your land no trespassing, you can't get the 20% recreation.
But it could still be current use.
And you don't have to allow mechanized vehicles. You don't have to allow four-wheeling, so you can post for those types of things.
This application is from Jack Savage, Silver Street, Middleton. 3 acres he's talking about. I believe it's part of his tree farm. This certification is good through 2019. Okay, so. You all right with Jack going into current use, 3 acres?
Yeah, it's contiguous with other land that he owns. So
Right.
Right, as I say, is there a minimum one that you have to have?
a minimum of 10 acres open space land. It has to be 10 acres.
And you should sign this as well.
But if you only have 10 acres and you go to develop it and you have to take an acre out, it all comes out.
Okay, right, that's
So
what
you
I'm
have to be
trying to
careful of
get
that.
Yeah. More paperwork, abatements. We're all familiar with abatements.
3, and there are 2 locations for signing.
When does it go with this? Does this go with that stuff?
Yes, yes, yes.
There's a letter dated today. The following property owners are due refunds for the 2017 property tax. Getaway Properties, 19 Dudley Drive, $115. Joseph Brandon,
Thank you.
23 Pine Ridge
That's
Road,
across the street.
$11. Okay? We need a vote? I don't think so. Don't sign this much.
That's the one that's trying to trace lots.
It's a key.
these lots.
Okay, I'm not gonna read the entire letter, but dated April 2nd. I was the senior utility assessor for Avatar. I reviewed the abatement filed by Fairpoint. I compared the value of information to our assessment.
That one's denied.
Yeah, I recommend that this abatement be denied. We plan to revisit it after a court decision. This thing is still going on to the courts,
Oh, yeah.
okay? I have to give somebody credit. Of all the ways to raise taxes, I personally never would have thought of taxing telephone poles, okay? It took a moment of genius to come up with that. You know how many telephone poles there are in Middleton? Alright, so, we're denied, okay?
Makes sense. Go to court.
How far along is that battle? Either
I
you,
think
John, or
they're
you, Glenn?
expecting a decision in the fall, but hey, anything can happen, it's court.
They have the resources to go on, because
Yeah.
it's fucking big money.
Okay, this is the letter that I talked about for Getaway Properties, 19 Dudley Drive. This is the paperwork for it, $115 return. The correction to the size of the cathedral area, the type of interior wall is estimated, result in a revised downward value. Okay. A lot of people say, they're not going into my property. Okay, don't let the assessor in. The assessor then makes some guesses as to the value of what's inside your house, which may or may not be correct. Some people say, well, if I don't let them in, they're not gonna see that beautiful tile floor. Oh, you're right, they'll say you have a tile floor in all 5 rooms of your house. Okay. And can an assessor walk around your property without permission on the outside?
Well, they can go up the driveway because that's an ingress egress of sort of a public way,
Right?
and knock on your door. If you're not home and your property isn't posted with no trespassing signs, yeah, they can do a spin around. Can't go inside and stuff like that, but
Okay.
that would be breaking and entering. Yes, they can take a little stroll around, measure.
The other letter we're signing is for Brandon, 23 Pine Ridge Road, $11 refund. So, John, does things move this fast up the stairs?
No.
Oh.
That even close.
And I also have a couple of timber warrants that I had forgotten to tell Laura.
Okay.
Put on the agenda, and there's 2 locations for,
Boy, what a
Timber
meeting
tax.
hall.
I know.
hey,
Huh?
I'm telling you, I get it in my account.
Exactly.
Okay.
Slash.
This looks like it's
It's that time of year.
timber yield tax, in the amount of $117.37 for 1 Charles Terrio, Ridge Road, Middleton. Okay?
There's not an intent to cut it.
No, I think this is a result of cutting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Just say on the board.
Yeah, it
It's a
does. in here.
small, it's a small amount.
Yeah.
But he does it on the extension, right? Took 153.
2,325 board feet.
It looked like
which
they-
as trees go is no
Oh,
longer.
you got an extension, I don't know if you can back in or not, but.
And once we sign this, we're halfway through the meeting.
So, Gwen,
Yes.
someone files an intent to cut, we sign it. How do we ever find out exactly how much they cut? It's gotta be more than the honor system.
When they file the intent, I have to forward that to the Department of Revenue. The Department of Revenue forwards them a certificate and a report of cut. When they're finished with the cut, they have to complete the report and turn it back into the assessing office.
But who says how much they cut? They themselves or the, oh, wait a minute. I see the potential here for some problems.
There's a lot of people that wanted, that some towns in the state, probably quite a few of them, at one time were talking about doing away with timber reporting, timber tax.
That failed.
Did it fail?
Miserably.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
John?
Yeah, it's kinda interesting,
The way they check is when you sell the timber,
right.
a
Bill
report
slips.
goes to the state, they can check back right on the slip that they filed originally. That's how they check it.
Alright, so there is
So
some.
if the numbers don't jive, somebody will be down to look at it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
alright, I feel better. Alright, this is for Joanna Mockler, 14 Russell Court, Lincoln, Mass, but I'm guessing they have land up here. Otherwise, we're doing well. It doesn't say where it is. Map 19, lot 10. I don't know where it is.
I think it's across the street from my house,
Yeah, I
John.
think it's King's
I was gonna say it's on
Highway.
King's Highway, yeah, they've
Okay,
got
this is
300.
$1,453 and 60 cents.
He's been there for 3 years or 4 years cutting.
Yeah.
Is that the one that's tracking the mud up the road?
No,
No,
no.
no.
That operation chunk is gone. Yeah.
That money coming in.
Does he have any more to cut up in there? you know?
Legislation would
Does
speed
he
up.
have
I
any more?
have no idea. But they left right after everybody went up and told them to clean the road.
But I don't think it went anywhere. In other words, it was gonna.
They didn't clean the
bypass
road.
Yeah.
Board of
They did,
Selectmen.
Yeah, they cleaned the road and they finished the job and
Yeah, they did.
Oh,
they cooperated after.
Yes.
Some
Right.
towns.
You know the guy who did the paving,
Correct.
the driveway,
Sign the intent to cut it.
he got out there to clean up the road.
I think you
Well,
only,
yeah.
yeah, I
He
think
used
you
to
only
blow
have,
You
I
gotta
think
see
you
the
have
dirt
30
flying
days,
around,
right?
because he
Yeah,
didn't
but I
wet
mean,
it
they were
down
gonna shorten
first.
that considerably.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Mostly
Does he go by
rough
with the
road.
sweeper to your house?
Yeah.
That
You wanna see
didn't go
dust?
Too far either.
Eric,
are you getting ready to leave?
The sweeper gotta be going by.
Yeah, I was going.
Okay, I would like to
He'd be jumping.
oh, she went
skip
us.
around just a moment while you're both here, the two selectmen
He
here.
wasn't down for the
Okay.
Thank you.
At times, the town will sell town-owned property, often to an abutter, with the provision that the lots be merged. It slows down development, and we still get property back on the tax roll. When Pam Fraser was here, there was very little of that going on, and she sort of kind of took care of it as assessing cap. This question is for you, John, you, and you. Gwen talked to me, and I don't have the exact answer, but I think I do. Who should be doing the paperwork for the mergers? Pam did it, but I'm not sure it was her job to do it. Is this part of the planning board clerk to handle mergers? I have one yes. I have two yeses. You're not sure. I'm not sure either, except
We voted on that when we did the forms. We turned, just like we turned everything basically over to John for certain things, but we turned that over for her. I found out today it ain't her job. So tomorrow, when we have our little soiree, or the Thursday, that's gonna change.
okay, so it is your
John,
clerk.
you're talking voluntary mergers?
Yes,
Yeah, that's the planning board,
Yeah.
definitely the planning board.
so
I think I just said that, didn't I?
Yeah.
when you are in tomorrow,
Wise.
if you see Laura, in my in basket is paperwork for a merger with a check. You need to get the paperwork.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, so,
Thank
thank you.
Put What,
Yep.
yeah, I'll see Laura. Wait, well, you're gonna be here anyways, ain't
It's
you?
like I just said, man.
Me personally? No.
Is everything in your car?
You're not gonna be, so I'll see you.
He said this, he said the board has to sign it.
All right, next please, profile paperwork.
Okay, this is for, they didn't like our letter, so here's another one for them to sign. But I also have the next paperwork for, so I've labeled everything, so you're here on that one.
Folks know that
This is to
Every-
make you a signer on the.
every check
profile
that
accounts.
comes out of town of Middleton has
Oh.
3 signatures. 2 selectmen and our treasurer, okay? With John Clary off the board and John Mullen on, we need the paperwork, so that's what we're doing now, okay?
But if they do go up and they look and they notice,
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm not,
Do I need to sign it just like that? Cause I just signed my regular signature.
Just do this one like that, yeah.
Sign it just like this?
Yeah.
I didn't sign it like that.
That's okay. We'll see what.
sign this one? Oh, so it's either you or Marcia.
We both have to sign it,
Right, but either one of you can sign as treasurer. okay?
yes.
Some of them, Joe, you don't sign, some of them are you and, watch Jason, and the other one is just one. And then first-
John has his own separate paper for the checking account. And you've got to sign it too, Laura.
Got this one, Laura. Oh, yeah. You're gonna sign this one?
You ever look at the shoot without, causing any issues, like, that's a good, it's not a good, like, I've done it before.
Yeah.
Good place to shoot.
Oh, that's nice.
As far as I know, they don't have any problems, I think they went down there shooting, so.
Yeah, absolutely want to do
It's like on the side of a hill, and you can't really see, you see houses up on the hills up on the sides, but it's pretty clear, there's big piles of rocks, and you right there to shoot at, just that hard to shoot in front of, missed backdrops.
So Sandy,
That's why I thought it was that.
John, and Joe. The whole purpose of this is to keep honest people honest. With the advent of computers, unscrupulous people, nobody in here, but in other towns, in other organizations, they find loopholes around things like signatures. okay? If you've ever had your bank account broken into, you know that even though it requires your signature, someone either forges your signature, or it's an inside job where one person goes to the favorite teller and takes money out of your account, okay? So, it is a sad fact of our life. So it has nothing to do with us, but it does help honest people to stay honest,
Our town requires 2 selectmen signatures.
right?
Other towns might only require 1 selectman and treasurer. That's why when we had the checks made up,
But,
there was only 2 lines.
but those towns have what they call a manifest.
Okay,
And what it is, Milton does this, is when you come to do, they have a staff and the treasurer signs the checks and the selectmen sign the manifest.
right, that's what we used to do at the
Authorizing the
school.
treasurer to sign the checks.
Mhm.
So there's only really one signature and out they go.
Really?
Yeah.
I like
So
that.
selectmen don't have to sit here and sign checks hours after hours after hours. They just
We
get a
don't have that many
manifest
checks.
from Laura. They look over the manifest, they question if there's a question about a particular check or expenditure, they'll either suspend that or not sign it, indicate on the manifest, and they sign the manifest. Manifest goes back to the treasurer and out go the checks. Just the more, when you have a lot of, it's just a little more efficient.
Right,
That's all they used
But
to do in the school.
remember, those
Yeah.
towns have staff,
right.
a lot larger. That's just
I like
another.
that system.
It's okay, it's, been doing it for years.
All right, again, Laura, I would say, Sandy, nothing to do with you, but John. Here's your manifest, 42 checks.
Yeah,
Here's the treasurer, 43 checks.
and there's a problem.
Yeah, I would say, I like our system. Okay.
Well, unless the check's to you.
I'm not saying one way or the other, I'm just throwing it out there.
I mentioned that because I caught someone, in my time in the Navy, I caught someone doing exactly that. I signed the manifest as a chief for,
Oh, then
This
they
makes
added a
it-
check.
they did,
Yeah.
and I caught him. And he was not happy. All right, Kings Highway variance. This has to do with our property in the town of New Durham that we own, and we're trying to straighten out the lot line of it.
All right.
Good? Yeah, fire out Will, please. I love Will.
Alright, so last week, Laura, Ed Brennan and I went over to the New Durham Planning Board. Up at the pit, we have a butter. Basically, there, about a year, 2 years ago, we had our property surveyed at the pit down there. And come to find out that our market pit is in the middle of their driveway. Well, their driveway is in the middle of our pit. So, they bought the place unbeknownst to them that there's a problem. And in an effort to be good neighbors like that, we decided we're going to give 12 feet of our town property to those abutters to get it straightened out. So we went there.
12 feet, Rick, out of how many acres?
21 acres.
It's not like we're giving away the shop here.
Yeah,
right?
that is nothing in the whole scheme of things. It's nothing we can utilize or whatever. So to help them out, so they won't have any problems in the future, get this straightened out now. Okay, and that's what we're going through. And we went to the Board of Selectmen last year. They thought it was great that we're doing this. Now we had to go to the planning board to get a variance because the road frontage was already short by their standards. Is going to be 12 feet shorter. So we had to get a variance.
Oh my God.
And they've approved it. And now the next step, I'll have to go through with the people at the.
12 feet for our property.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
All right.
We're already non-conforming, and then by doing this, we ended up having to get a variance also. So we were already under, we wanted to make sure we were
So in
still
essence,
good.
if they wanted 500 feet, we were saying we were 485 feet, we are 15 feet short. Now we're gonna take another 12 feet, 27 feet short, if that's what the number is. So.
And
The bank wouldn't do their own.
Just for-
The difference on the setback.
just for the rest of it, there has been some discussion that once we move the pin, that the line going down, I don't know, 100, 200 feet should be straightened. That's under consideration, but whatever costs are involved in moving that is gonna be borne by the landowner, not us. Okay, and it's so stated in the letter, that you want it moved, you're gonna pay, notify all the butters, just like we do here with a zoning meeting. And I think we're willing to talk to them. Again, it's not gonna amount to anything in terms of our 20+ acres, but if they want it, they're gonna have to do the work for it. You agree?
No, that's the way that it was left.
Yeah.
We're waiting now for this part that you did, because we've already paid Norway Plains. Now, once this is done, they can go put that pin in at the frontage.
Right.
Right.
But the other problem is all that power, their power went underground on our property too. That's the other reason why we figured it was a key thing to get that hooked to their own property off ours, because there'll be a problem down the road for someone.
Yeah.
God.
Thank you for taking charge of this, Rick, because it's, in the big scheme of things, it doesn't matter to us, but it matters to them, and we're trying to be good neighbors, so.
Well, it's part of keeping that pit in compliance also, because once you lose that, you lose a lot. And we all know how much gravel costs, so.
Absolutely.
All right. The next item is a proposal from Jim Knapp Electric regarding the renovations at the town hall kitchen. We received 2 other proposals, but they both gave a specific amount for the job. Problem is, we're not exactly sure what the job is. We understand what the carpenter has to do, but I'm not sure what electricity needs to be done. The lights are done, there's some electricity in there already. We might need more based on where we put the cabinets, maybe some power strips. So we rejected those bids. Jim Knapp submitted one on a hourly rate. And he is willing to come in and work as needed, but I don't see the electric job being very major. You agree, John? It's not like what you did in the whole rest of the town hall.
No.
This is pretty minor, all right?
What's his rate, John?
$50 an hour, which, anybody knows anything about electric.
It's a good
that's
price.
pretty
Cheap
rate.
money.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay?
Good price.
And he's willing to come as needed. When Doug Gregory starts tearing up the floor, that is the time, if we need more lines run, to run them, instead of getting into that crawl space. So,
Miserable,
yeah.
miserable.
Do you wanna make the
So-
motion or anything?
Entertain a motion that we accept the bid from Jim Knapp.
As written.
Okay? There's a motion, second, great.
You don't want any not to exceed?
I don't think so, in that he is going to be told what needs to be done, and then do it. You have concerns?
I don't know, I myself don't like to have any kind of a contract that does not state not to exceed in it.
Any thoughts?
What
What were the other two bids? Go by their numbers and say not to exceed the lowest one of the other two.
the lowest of the other two, I'm guessing, I can't remember, but I think it's right around $7,000.
Wait, just put a number on it, that's all.
Not to exceed $7,000.
You're just covering yourself so that you don't,
I know, but we'll just say not to exceed.
No, you know, in terms of, just, I don't know, the only thing that it might entail is new wiring in there when they get in there.
Right.
And stringing a wire. I understand what John's saying, that's probably prudent in terms of, but we don't know, we're ballparking what the cost would be. So what if it goes over the cost, then what do we do? I mean, if we say not to exceed 5,000, not to exceed 7,000, and we get into it and we're half done, then what do we do?
Yep.
Which it won't,
Right.
but, you know, the whole town hall cost us 15. So that's not gonna cost us 7, I'm gonna tell you right now.
So if we make it for 7, we're more than covered ourselves.
Well, you could add that in there, but then that's changing his proposal, and that's okay, right? I don't know.
Any thoughts from anybody else?
You didn't want a total number, you wanted somebody to come in and give you an hourly rate, now you're
Kinda
saying
like
total
doing like a
number.
retainer, and it's like a retainer for an
okay.
attorney. And you're making a judgment that it's not going to, you know, the bid, I haven't seen the other bids, but they were how much, 7 and
What is it, $15,000?
$15,000, that's how much it cost to do the whole darn town hall.
That's it,
So, in 7, I mean,
It's what, 120?
I don't think so.
Okay. Janet?
Why don't you put it not to exceed 7,500 without the, without consulting? Or they have to come back to you guys if they exceed the 7,000 to get,
That agreeable?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to
because you
exceed-
get the labor at $50 an hour, but you don't know what the materials are gonna cost
No, that's
either.
for the girls.
The bid said we
This
would.
wire is not cheap.
Yeah.
No, but we,
I think it's just for the labor, right? You're not talking
says
about any.
labor.
I think we're gonna get the materials.
Oh, you're getting the
Right.
materials?
yeah, it says labor, $50 per hour plus material if he bought material.
And just put it without, $7,000, not to exceed $7,000 without selectmen approval.
Without prior approval.
Okay,
Well,
so then
not
this will have
prior
to go back
approval,
to
John.
them For a look-see.
John,
What's that?
not prior approval, but, sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. We're gonna have a
But
problem. I
without
can see
selectmen
already.
approval.
Right.
Not prior approval, but without selectmen approval.
So who's senior, who's junior?
Yeah, I know, right?
just
Just
say Joe
say,
from
no,
now
you
on.
just say H&M.
Yeah, just say Joe from now on, and then he can dig it.
It's not-
Well, look,
I'd leave it as it is.
Mr. Knapp is a pretty honest guy. I mean, I would have no doubt that, it's like he said, like, okay, I'm going to Home Depot to buy the stuff. Or Lowe's, whomever. Whatever it costs me, it's gonna cost you. He's not gonna mark it up. Because we go down, if he gives us a list like that, go get it, we're gonna pay the same money. So,
Or Rockingham.
right, whomever he gets it from, stuff like that. I don't have any problem with the way it is, not to exceed.
if he's giving it to you for what he's paying for it, and you put a caveat like that on there, he might jump the price up too.
I think I'd leave it as
So,
is.
leave the motion as is?
Yeah, you agree?
Be all right.
7,000.
What's
So,
that?
are we?
No.
No.
Just leave it the way it is.
We're just gonna use it as, for time and materials, that's it, not to, there's gonna be no not to exceed on it.
Okay.
Okay?
The ceiling's already done, okay? So I don't have to do that. There's no,
What you gonna sneak away after there?
do we need 220 in there for anything?
I wish we had put the 220 in the other one, but we didn't need it. We
Yeah.
really did not need it because of
You have a gas range, you don't need it for that.
the efficiencies. The only thing the town hall draws is the furnace of any consequence. All the lights are LEDs, even, yeah, so unless, no.
We're gonna need a new outlet for a freezer.
That's nothing.
You don't
The
even-
motion, you may need 220 for the air conditioner outside.
Yeah, you may need
But
that.
is
That would
that part of the
that would
kitchen?
require 220.
Well, no, that would.
That's not part of the kitchen,
Right.
Yeah. From the
Pull it
floors
out
up,
of a
we're gonna have to
panel,
line
they'll-
down.
Right.
Line to the box, and that
I don't worry about
would, that would, that
I
would
was just gonna say
just
that.
about do it.
Alright, so, ready to vote? Any other? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. While we are talking about
Everything.
Everything.
Sign it,
in the kitchen,
acceptance.
anybody here like to swing a sledgehammer? Like to take out your frustrations on kitchen cabinets? Okay? Perhaps the fire department wants a training session on how to
Oh, no.
demolish.
Extricate.
No, no,
We got chainsaws,
no, no.
vent saws, jaws of life, we got all kinds of stuff.
Fire him up there, Billy. You're gonna have to-
Seriously, the
With finesse.
30-yard dumpster is there.
Donna said she'd like to get in.
We've got a pile of debris outside already, and perhaps we can entice the highway department with their thumb equipment.
We were already gonna do that the other day.
I know. Who told you that?
John wants to go through that stuff.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you?
But that would help us
And
to
for
get
me,
the stuff
somebody said you
in.
wanted to go through it.
No, I told him, get it out. Just take it off.
Beyond that, John's interested in demolition. Laura is
I love
interested.
demolition.
If there's other people you don't want, okay, there's a certain satisfaction if you ever watch Fixer Upper. They keep demonstrating how neat it is to bust things up.
However, we wanna be careful to maintain the historic value of that kitchen. Once we get the cabinets out of there and then we start addressing the walls, we wanna be a little careful when we start banging around in there. So, I'll be looking at everybody with sledgehammers and axes and stuff. and all that. But the demolition should be pretty easy because the ceiling is done and it's, the hardest thing will be getting the cabinets out. We're not taking the floor out.
I want to talk about the floor.
Yeah, so, I mean, we are not doing that. We also wanna make sure before we start anything that we have plumbing properly disconnected and tapped off, and electrical and gas tapped off and out of the way. Because we don't wanna start ripping things and all of a sudden we hear a hiss sound and go boom.
The gas will be fine, just turn the valve off. I'm
No.
kidding. You don't need heat now anyhow.
We got heat in there.
You don't need it.
I know, we never had.
You don't have no this thing.
Never had, yeah. Okay.
If you examine some of the walls, you'll see that there is shiplap boards behind the newer white masonite boards. Those shiplap boards are original to when that was a schoolhouse. It was common construction to run shiplap horizontal, and we've already found it.
Not beadboard, shiplap.
Yeah,
Right,
okay.
Everybody watch,
Chip and Joanna Gaines.
Joanna Gaines, that she does with the shiplap, that's what she does, yeah.
And
She's a
John's
chip-
right, the ceiling's done.
shiplap.
So when we start taking upper cabinets down, we best not be screwing up that ceiling, because that ceiling is not sheetrock, it's plaster. When's the last time anybody saw a plastered ceiling, okay? Historic structure.
Maintain.
Now, when it comes time to do the floor, I've asked that no volunteers start taking apart that floor. There's hardwood, and then there's a subfloor, and that's it. That floor is weak enough that I'm concerned if people start fussing around and saying, I'll take this much of the floor out, yeah, they'll be right down into the crawl space, injured, all right? And that is, we have to move that stove, and I don't want that stove falling through the floor. It might go already, and I don't want to weaken the floor any. So, I'm gonna be away for a while on vacation, so I'm hoping that John and Joe will keep track of things over there. Okay?
When do you wanna start that project?
You can start anytime you want to, honestly. They can start, you can start whenever people got time to start it, so.
We can, you know, Thursday, Friday, weekend. Weekend might be helpful because you can get started and then find out where you are. It gives us a little time to do a little prep work maybe.
I think I'll do Saturday, Sunday, because Tammy wants me to do yard work.
Well, that's what I had to do the other day, so.
He's already.
We still have some things left to do in the town hall that we need to get done. The biggest thing is cleaning the chapel, dust and everything, I'm backing that up, and then I'll take all the volunteers who like to wash walls and stuff to do that. And then we have to, the only thing left we have to do is paint the stairwells and restain the library, and we're done. And then the floors. We'll wait till the floors have stuff you do, the whole,
Yes.
the whole gizmo, yeah. I keep forgetting to call him. Okay,
All right?
So you wanna do it, start Saturday?
yeah, Saturday seems like you know, with people's schedules and everything,
I'll come up here.
it seems, at least my schedule, because
Me too.
I'm open this week, but I'm hoping to try to clean up some
I'm
of this.
really concerned with that stove coming the right way, so Saturday I'll be done hooking that.
Yeah, I think we can start doing a little bit of
Get the
ripping
evil
stuff,
eye
you
back.
know. Get those, at least those two cabinets out of there.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
On a more serious note for the fire chief, is there any value in your crew practicing with that saw that goes through everything to cut the
What are you
cabinet?
looking at me for? He's the one asking the question.
John's a little nervous, John's a little nervous.
No, I'm gonna say yes.
No, I think that, no,
In the island.
I know what you're talking
Controlled
about. No,
by-
I think we can rip those out by hand. I really do. I don't want any buzzers in
We're
there.
professionals.
You
We
can,
can
you
do
can
minor
do it, I
saws.
went thinking it outside the
We
building.
made picture frames.
I got a sawzall that has a little more control on the fireman, I think, maybe.
Let's put it to test.
You'll rip that thing up in 5 minutes, and I'm not sure.
We're done.
I can just see it now, there'll be sawdust and smoke everywhere.
What should be done?
Yeah, but they have a fire truck next door.
We got smoke injectors, we got stuff.
Tank full, you ready to go?
A long day.
Come over Saturday, bring everybody.
Just bring sledgehammers, but be careful.
We gotta be there.
Yeah, you don't have to sign it.
Okay.
But on a lighter note, when we redid the Grange down in the center of Union, we had to take apart the toilets, which were really one holeless. Stuff went through the floor, right out to the river behind. We had to tear that whole section off. And Rusty Loring, who worked a lot for the Wakefield Highway Department, came down with his excavator and pulled it off, never damaged that building. But I don't think he can get in there to tear apart those cabinets.
You're making John.
Why you teasing him like that?
All right, one other old business that pertains to nobody here. Last meeting, we had a public hearing regarding the Lakeland Association's bid to get their property back. 10 days, within 10 days or after 10 days, there has to be another public hearing. So I would ask you two to try to pick a time.
We did that already.
I already picked it. When is it?
The 21st at 5:30.
Yes,
Yeah.
next Monday, next Monday, right before
Right
the
before
budget
the-
meeting.
All right, so we're good. All right, so you two are okay with that? I won't be here. All right. Next. New business. I'm gonna pass on Lenny because he's not here. Okay. All right. Department heads. I think I'd like to go with somebody do. How about school? Let's start at the very end, school board.
So, we got a bid for finishing the shed, so that will be finished. We had a little bit of a discussion about the pond and fence, so we went out and we looked at the fence and, the pond. And so, we are gonna get quotes for a fence to put around the
Be
pond.
still my heart.
Not
Wow.
ready yet, but a quote.
Good.
What else? I left my paper at home. We're looking about school lighting too. And I'll let Joe talk about that, since he brought it up in the,
During the school board meeting, basically, there is a little bit of concern down at the playgrounds down here that from, out here in the parking lot, where the granite post is, and that little path that's down through there, that goes down to the school, not enough lighting off the street lights, and they're looking at possibly if we could do something as a town to reach out to Eversource to maybe get some additional lighting, or take what's there and move it so it can be utilized a little bit better, a little more effective, like that path going down through there, so.
Are you talking about the
The path?
path in the woods or the path from that granite post right out here all the way to the school?
The granite post out here,
Right.
down to where the shed is. The path going between the shed and the school, they were ferrying materials across, not that, that's school property, that sort of thing, but.
Well, the whole thing's school property.
I know, but the street lights, I'm not sure where they are, where the poles are,
Right.
but whatever we can provide them to point over toward that area would be beneficial.
So,
If they want a lighted pathway, that would be something the school has to put in on their property to light that path going, if they have an additional parking lot out here, if they put that in. So here's the school down here, here's the parking lot, here we are. That path is out here, right there is pretty dark, okay? Then you get the proposed parking area, then you have a second path that goes over from here to the
Right.
school. We're just talking about this part here.
All right, John?
question. We're sure that from the granite post is school property. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're asking us to put up some streetlights on their school property, and it's probably for a safety reason, because that's pretty dark in there. I would think that the school board would have to do some thinning out considerably of the
Trees there.
from trees to the path.
There is a very good, if you go to the edge of the road to where the path is, there is a really good buffer of trees right through there. Especially in the summertime, the leaves on it, it's pretty dark.
Pretty dark, so I wouldn't, if they're thinking, because it wouldn't help,
No,
wouldn't help, so they would have to remove a fair amount of trees and brush, I would think, and that's school property.
yes.
And why are they asking us to help them on school property?
They just wanna know if the poles are on this side of the road, if we can reach out to Eversource
On the other side of the
on the
road?
road,
Ah.
turn the lights to point it, or put lights that can shine that way.
Okay.
That's it. Not to put up poles and not to run wires
Just
and
change,
stuff like
move the lights so they shine more over in that area.
that. Exactly.
Well, there's no lights there to begin with.
Yeah, I know.
So you're not moving
Well, that's-
lights, you're
that's
just
what-
installing lights.
If there are no streetlights there, it would be possible that Eversource could go
Add
there
them on
and
the
put
pole.
a couple in there at some point.
Cause you do got poles, you just don't have no lights on.
Right, exactly, so. I haven't been down there to even notice where the lights are
Right.
anyhow, so.
Is that path that you used to walk?
No.
Okay.
So the,
So
I'll be honest,
I didn't know there
the
was
most
one
it was ever used is when we done the haunted walk for the kids and for Halloween.
Yeah, then you gotta clean your feet off after you get to the end before you get in your car, right?
Hmm.
Cause the only thing that walks there is dogs.
I
Well,
think their concern is because of like, I don't know, some resident that attended a event down there. They had to park
They parked up in
up
here.
in
Yeah.
here and
And
to
they
walk
walked down the
back
path
and
because
forth.
because of the no parking signs on each side of the road that's posted now, they're parking up in this space here and walking down the path to
So
get there.
the path is between the parking lot and the school?
It's through the woods.
To the park, not
If you go out here, oh, there's doing, look over, you'll see the granite post and the path that goes down through there.
Oh, so they,
Those are
okay, wait a
along the
minute, so they
edge.
parked at this building?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was
And
thinking,
they're
I'm
walking
like,
down through.
all right, no, I was thinking
So-
when they said they parked, like, they parked
Between the
back up there.
pathway or walking on the road, either way is, pretty dangerous.
Right, no, I get that, but, yeah.
If I may,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I guess what I would do is, check with Eversource if there's a different lighting scheme on the poles and the lights that we have. First of all, and if they can just make some adjustment on those, I suppose I could be for that. But when we start installing different poles, I'm not so sure that
Yeah, I don't.
that would be the responsibility of the town, even though it would be on town property. That would be probably, that would be like, well, maybe not, because that would be like a resident saying, we have a dangerous intersection here, we want a light. So, from a safety point of view, it might be apropos, but I think we ought to talk to Eversource to find out, what would they do in a situation like this? Would they add another, do we have a pole down there?
Got a couple poles, got a
Doesn't have
couple
a
poles
light
right
on
in
it.
there, right, just no lights on. But again, you still have to thin the woods line out to get the light
Yeah,
from the pole into
the
there.
school board would have to nearly clear
You
that
do have
puppy
poles,
right
just no
out.
light, so it's just a matter of adding light.
Because that's a place waiting to happen there.
But this church light out here lights up quite a bit of the first part of this path.
Alright.
Cause that light's tipped like this anyway, so it lights this side.
You know, but Eversource may have a solution, and, you know, I would entertain adding another light to a pole, but I wouldn't do that until the school board cleared that up first, before we even stick a light up there.
So can we go ahead and contact Eversource to see
Sure,
what
yeah.
what the options may be, so we can take that back to the school board? And at that point, if we can do this, but you need to do this type of thing. That be okay?
Yeah?
Would it make sense to either clear out some of the woods, even for safety's sake, walking through there at night is,
That's the school board's responsibility.
right, or move the path closer to the road?
I don't know
That's
what-
not
I don't know what the, okay.
That path
You
was
start
ridiculous.
putting
The Boy
in-
Scout thing.
You start putting in sidewalks.
Alright,
We already got the number on that, forget it.
yeah.
Yeah. We got the number
I mean, that's a
on that.
nice path and everything else, but right, Chief, from a safety point of view, that's not a good thing at nighttime going through there.
That's just an Eagle Scout project path, that's all that is.
Yeah, no, I know, I mean, it used to be even worse. Since then, you guys went and put down wood chips and everything else, and it's a nice path, but that's an accident. That's something bad could happen there. Nobody would know it.
And John Malone, you and I talked about the possibility of a parking area on the school property that could encompass some of what I'm now gonna call the old playground area and some of the woods. And if that happens, that would, by default, would clear out some of the woods.
The whole part that you have to be aware of, you have to be 150 feet away from where the water is.
Right.
Then you could do the whole park, there's plenty of room. I had a design done that we could make 90 to 100 parking spaces from about half of that park that we have over into the woods, using that lane that we already have there, and it would have made a perfect parking lot.
Right.
I got poo-pooed.
Would have been done if.
You wanna
done it
park
with the
up
school.
all the way up here and walk down that path, we may as well stay home and walk. By the time you get to the school, you're tired.
That's because we're old.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why was it poo-poo?
School board.
School board didn't wanna spend the money on it.
Should have been in the
What
original
was the
plan.
cost?
That's the way I look at it. If it was in the original plan, it would have been done now.
What was the cost, do you know?
80,000.
But, yeah, I think, yeah, it was under 80,000.
Okay.
There's two prices, but
Right.
that's the end of that.
Okay, so we should.
Do you want me to keep on going with the school board thing, Dan? Sure. Okay. Part of that whole school board thing, apparently back a while ago, the town received grant money for that playground that used to be there. And I guess the superintendent looked into it, and for us to do any work, for the school to do any work for a parking lot like that may affect the money that was associated with that grant even today. They're looking into it. Let's see what can happen, okay? They also voted on to have Barron Brothers fix the drainage down to the ball field, from the road down to the ball field. Runs down across that, okay? And they're gonna go take care of that, and they're also going to hot top behind the school and over to the playground. So they got two little hot
On the
tops.
side of the building.
On the side of the building, so like a 4-foot walkway, they're gonna come in and put all the base down and that sort of thing, and then hot top it. So those are the three projects that were voted on by the school board to do and finish, along with this shed. The one that they did not vote on because they didn't have enough information is buying a generator. So, basically, record is, they have still $198,000 in the building fund, which those three bids were coming out of, for the walkways, hot top, and the drainage problem, okay? So, at this point, they said they're still looking at a potential $500,000 on their fund balance, which comes back to the town, but they get to utilize 2.5% of that money before it comes back to the town. So that will be money they can use as well. So, just, that's the update, pretty much.
So $80,000 to do that parking lot, I think originally, isn't that what the playground
Yeah.
cost? Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And not my concern per se, but maybe it would be less expensive to move the well. Then you would not be restricted by that 150-foot business. No?
We looked into that,
Too
and
expensive to move it?
it's expensive when you have to, because of the equipment that's in there and what you have to do in order to move the well. It was really over the top.
Okay. All right,
So that's that,
on we go. You know, for now.
So we'll contact Eversource and see what they can do for us, and then we can take it back to the school board and give them some options.
All right, next, I don't know, let's pick. Oh, how about fire? Any reports from fire?
So far, we've had 36 fire calls this year, 39 med calls. We have 2 members that are looking to get on the department, Kathy Gould being one of them. I passed my AMR, so I just got to file paperwork to the state now, so that's done. And then I got the 3 bids back for the ambulance. So I'd like to pull the trigger on the ambulance if I could. Osage, which is made in Missouri, seems to be the best bang for the buck. Milton has 2 of their ambulances. Farmington just ordered one from them. We've taken a look at them and they look nice. But I think that more than the looks of it, I think that the quality is there, I think the service is gonna be there as well. The price on the ambulance, all of it, was $207,465.
How much?
$207,465. But they're gonna give us $3,000 as a trade-in value for the old ambulance. I don't think we're gonna get much trying to put it out to bid or.
How close are you to looking for permission from us? You had mentioned wanting to see the ambulance. Do you want to do that first, or?
No, so I've already looked at the 2 that Milton has, because I wanted to look at any of their ambulances before going any further. But included in the price of the ambulance is a flight to Missouri to look at it, because I don't want it all of a sudden just to show up here and go, there you go. It's a cheap trip. But when I was talking with Dick Marique, the chief in Milton, he said that he was glad that he went out, because when he went out there, he found a couple of things that he wanted adjusted before it just showed up, so they could make any of those changes in the package.
What's the chassis?
It's gonna be Ford. but a gas versus a diesel. People are going away from the diesel ambulances, going more towards the gas.
Is that unibody thing where we can pull the cab off after?
We
it's
can,
done?
it comes with a lifetime warranty, or I think it's a lifetime warranty on the box.
Yeah, you can take the box off, put it in the
Yep.
box.
I heard, whether it was you or someone, explain the difference between gas and diesel for an ambulance.
Yep.
Okay? I'm gonna try to explain it, and I'll see if Rick or anybody else agrees. Diesel is good when a vehicle is running a lot, like a tractor trailer, goes all day long. But diesel is not good when a rig has to sit and idle, like an ambulance does. Does that make sense?
No.
Rick?
The only thing is, you gotta turn down on diesel, you just gotta turn your RPMs up, because your oil pressures are a lot lower than on a gas engine, that's the only thing. That's why most of your diesels got a place that you turn your idle up. On the newer ones, there's no idle switch, you gotta turn your cruise control up on the steering wheel in order for the RPMs to stay up. But other than that, that's the only thing that I would see, is that the oil pressures are lower at an idle on a diesel than they are on a gas engine.
But a gas
But
ambulance
as far as idling,
is all right?
yeah.
Sure.
The thing, the only thing about some of that stuff is diesel stuff, like in an ambulance or like in a patrol truck like ours, is if theirs is gonna be sitting outside, but the outside, sometimes they don't like to start in the cold, but they've done a lot with diesels today where they do start a lot better than they ever have, but still, there's that chance that they don't. Diesels are just temperamental to real cold weather that we get, that's all. If they're plugged in, they'll stop, but then you gotta pay the light bill, so.
That and cost fuels.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Well, gas and diesel are both the same price now, right? They're both going crazy, so.
Where do we get $200,000?
We have
Roughly.
150 something thousand, I think, in the revolving fund.
Okay.
Then you have the money from Comstar,
Yep.
and we just voted on, what, 50,000 at town meeting?
Mm-hmm.
So we have the money?
We have money.
Okay.
Will it fit in the building?
Yes. It's the same, the only difference
Good question.
in the, because, yeah, I've heard this a couple of times. The only difference in the box is it's gonna be taller, only by 4 inches.
Okay.
Just
We
to give us a
corrected
little
that.
more headroom in there.
And we corrected it by taking the furnaces and hang in the middle, and put it up in the corner.
So that's the only difference, other than that. It's the same size box, it's the same width, it's the same length,
I
it's
thought it was
just.
gonna be wider though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Does it have its own heating, auxiliary heating system?
Your widths are controlled.
In other words, is it a self-sustained, keep pharmaceuticals you have at a certain temperature, you have to keep them in there at a certain temperature? Does it have its own heating system in there, or is it relying on the heated garage?
Well, by law, we've gotta keep it in the garage at 65 degrees all the time. But once we get rolling, if it's wintertime, we've got the heat.
No, I know that, but
Yep.
somebody told me that, one of my colleagues said, oh, we didn't have to worry too much about heating the garage per se, because our units were self-contained heaters, heated units. You ever heard of such a? I'm not saying that's good or bad, it's just,
Nope, some people, there's IV fluids that some people will warm up during the winter time. But that's in case of hypothermia.
okay,
We have that, it plugs in.
Yep.
okay. Plugs in the,
It
what?
plugs in inside the ambulance.
Oh, while you're getting it heat, okay.
It's a better
Just
fit.
Okay. So can I ask more questions about
Please
this?
do.
It's a company, yeah.
Okay, so
Osage.
we have
Osage.
$150,000 in capital reserve, basically,
No.
right? Is that what we're saying?
No.
And then where's the other, is that correct?
Revolving fund.
And a revolving fund, okay. So then that leaves about 54,000 roughly, right?
Right, and they approved 50,000 at the town meeting.
At the town meeting.
Right.
So then, and we get 2,000, 3,000 for the ambulance, so it leaves us $1,000, so,
And then there was the Comstar.
The
Comstar.
Comstar building money that we had.
oh, okay, all right, just checking.
So we have more than enough.
Yes.
What do you see as a time when the ambulance would arrive in town?
I think that they're looking at about 5 to 6 months.
So we need to pull the trigger now before we get 400.
Yeah. And we're also switching over from the 18 chassis to the 19 chassis, which Osage told me that they would eat, if we can't get an 18, we'll get a 19, they'll eat the cost difference between the two. The other thing
So
is
let's
too,
wait just another month then.
all the warranties too with Osage are, if it's a 5-year warranty, a 15-year, whatever it is, it's not a prorated warranty. That's right up until the last day.
So what's the name of the firm again?
Osage, O-S-A-G-E.
Thank you. Thank you.
And our recreditation for Medicaid has gone through, so that's all set.
They drive it or ship it here?
They'll drive it up.
How does our trade-in ambulance get back to them?
Okay. Good luck, they're gonna have holy water. They're gonna drive up the new one, and then they'll take away the old one.
So we're gonna have to have people available to transition all the stuff that's in there over.
We'll have a day where we'll come up, and it will probably be, here's your new one, here's your old one, we'll be back in a couple of days. So
I think it's safe to say that that ambulance outnumbers calls compared to the rest of the fire department
Oh, sure.
by 6 to 1, 7 to 1. For every one time the ambulance, every one time the fire truck goes out, how many times does the ambulance go out? 6, 7 times?
Well, right now, we're at 39 and 36, but there's no doubt that the ambulance rolls way more than that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for the fire department? All right.
You guys approve
We need to approve it?
You
We're
just
already-
have, you just have to give.
I need to send a letter of
Right,
intent.
yeah, we're already agents for the capital reserve funds, all right?
Yeah.
So I'll give a letter of intent out.
You want a motion? We'll take a motion.
Yeah.
To purchase the new ambulance and
Okay.
cost of
204, not to exceed 204,465, of which 150,000 comes from,
Isn't it 207?
It is 207.
It's 207 with a 3,000 trade.
oh, sorry, 207 with 3,000 trade.
John was doing the math
Yeah,
fast.
I can't math that.
No, you did do the math. You just
I
narrowed
did
it
do the
down.
math, then 54,000 comes from slush, no.
Miscellaneous.
Of which the town appropriated 50, whatever we, I voted for it, I don't know what we appropriated. And then we have, the ambulance billing service for $1,000, and so not to exceed two.
The one thing that's coming on the ambulance too, is what they have, it's a self-loading stretcher. So we were able, New Durham was nice enough to give us their battery operated stretcher, so with a button, it can go up, it can go down.
Right.
That's beautiful. This one here, as soon as we have to buy a small add-on kit to it. We put it in, hit the button, it loads itself.
So what happens to the, you know, two stretchers? You can keep one as a spare?
No, we don't have two stretchers. We're gonna keep the same one that we have.
It's the mechanism.
Right. It's just, there's a
You hook in, right?
bolt-in piece that comes on. But then it loads itself. So now we have less of a chance for any back injuries.
Good.
And when you've got two people on, trying to get somebody in there,
No.
no.
Okay, anything else?
I made a
Fire?
motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion is to purchase this. Get the paperwork going on.
Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, good. Opposed? All right. Police department, please.
Well, after a $200,000 ambulance, mine seems pretty minor.
But I haven't bought a new vehicle in quite some time.
So just for my stats real quick, we're at 175 calls for service, and this is up till the end of April, not including May. We had 7 arrests, but we just had like 5 over the last couple of weekends. I don't know if it was a party weekend, but we had a lot of DWIs, and one being a voting DWI that we handled over at Milton for them. We're up to 204 car stops. 19 summonses were issued out of those 200 car stops. We've had 4 motor vehicle accidents. Not really much to report on the cars. The new cars still, we're waiting to keep calling us anytime now. So, as far as new items, I want to talk to the selectmen about our detail rate and our notice time. If if you recall, it used to be like a 12-hour notice cancellation for the companies to notify us, because we had the Evans Line construction, and they were like, hey, we're not gonna know a lot of times until early in the morning if we're working. We changed it to 2. I'd like to, at least now that they're done and the whole project's over, I'd like to put that back to 4 if that's not too much for you guys, because that gives it a little bit more notice. Some of the guys, 2 hours are already up and getting dressed and ready to go before you call them and cancel them.
We were 12, now you went.
We went to 2 just
now you
for,
wanna go
yeah,
back to
Evans
4?
Line, I'd like to go to 4 now that the big project's over. And then the rate, I'd like to make the rate go from 45 to 50. 50 is now starting to become the average. I checked at a couple of chiefs meetings, I don't have the exact counts for it, but a lot of people are starting to go to the 50. And I just think it's kind of a nice way of, you know, rewarding the guys. They made $100,000 for the town, working all summer long, so you're out there dealing with the bugs. Right now, the total rate is 75. My thought would be leave it at 75 and just up the $5. But obviously, it's up to you guys if you want to adjust it and make the 5 on the other end. We're still within the norm. A lot of departments are $80, $85 an hour, and state police is, you know, even higher than that. The officers get 65 an hour. So I just feel like that'd be one way of rewarding the guys for working so hard all summer long and making a lot of money for the town, which wants a couple cruisers.
I have a question.
Yes.
Please.
Truck stops, make any truck stops for overweight or anything like that?
Yes, absolutely.
You know how many roughly?
I don't know.
Okay.
Where?
These are on the posted roads, right?
Posted roads, yeah.
Yes.
We'll talk.
In conjunction with that, 30 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour past the school. People getting stopped for that?
Yeah, a lot, actually.
Okay. And they're getting tickets or whatever for...
Again, you know, you don't generally force people to write tickets. So I mean, 19 out of 200 stops is not super high, but it's a fair amount.
Okay. You feel it's improving in terms of speed through there?
I do. I think the signs and our presence out there has definitely slowed things down a little bit.
All right. Yeah.
Bus driver tonight stopped the kids off the house.
Never.
He was telling Tammy that prior to that, he's dropping off the high school students down there, around the, whatever, lights on, somebody blew right by him. Went right through the lights on the bus and stuff like that, and I know a week ago, someone sat across the street from my house, whatever, doing radar, that sort of thing. And I don't know what generated out of that, if anything at all, but yes, the other morning, we had another gentleman coming up through in a big black pickup truck, and he all but clipped that bus, trying to squeeze through. Because the bus kind of does sit in the middle of it,
Right.
okay? I think they're doing purpose, let's go keep it down, whatever. This guy tried like hell, he made it around, but it's just, I like, no, nothing personal, I just want to see some more, if we can, over there, if we can get somebody
Yeah,
over
I don't know if you
there.
guys
It's
are
tough
aware,
to, it's tough to be everywhere at one time, I know that, but.
On May 1st, we actually participated in Operation Safe Stop, which was a statewide. The police departments got involved, the school department, and they told us the problem areas, and we had our officers actually dedicated to go out and watch for these school bus violations. The problem is, it's just like, I mean, we can't be everywhere. Obviously, if we see that, it's one of those things, the cruisers, people see the cruisers, they don't blow by buses. So there is actually a way for the bus drivers, if they can get the plate, for us to actually contact these people and speak to them about the violation, even write them a ticket just based off the school bus drivers. You know, observations don't go by, but I think a lot of times, you know, unfortunately, even good people get frustrated when they're stuck behind one of those school buses. I know I had a talk with Mary, who she works for Wilkesboro, she's like in charge of the buses, and I said that you just have to remind the bus drivers that there's actually in the statute that if there's more than 5 cars behind them, they're supposed to pull over and allow those cars to pass. And I don't ever see bus drivers doing that. I've been in lines with 10, 15 cars behind them, and they just keep going about their business. So I think sometimes, you know, that's the frustration builds up and people just get annoyed that, and you know, they think if it's like a traffic light, if you beat it before it turns red, you're okay, so they're already blowing by it when the lights come on. And, obviously we do what we can to stop
Oh my
it, but
God.
sometimes they,
Couple of comments. I was behind the bus going down 153, and that bus did pull over, let traffic go by.
that's very good.
Our
We do
bu- our
that,
bus driver.
keep some of the frustration down a little bit, I think.
But another question for you or Tammy, anybody. When a bus lets kids off, I thought the kids were supposed to live on the right side, so that they don't walk in front of the bus to cross to the other side. I thought if they lived on the other side, they wait for the bus to come back,
No.
so that they're on the
No.
correct side.
That's definitely not like a statute or anything, it might be a safe practice, but I know that my whole career buses will have the kids cross.
They
There
wanna
might
see
be something
those
about them
kids
that they can't
cross
cross
the
with double lanes or something.
That's why
but-
they have that light that comes out like that, and some have that big rack that come out
Right.
like that and
Right.
come
Yeah.
across.
Cause I know 153, this girl up the road, before you get to Middleton Hill, she crosses the road to get on the bus in the morning. So probably getting off, she probably crosses, depends, I don't know if they do
Depends
the
on the
backwards,
route.
road. I don't know how their route does, if it goes the opposite way when they go there, cause.
It's probably safer for her to cross when the bus is there than to cross the road before the bus to get to the
Then,
stop.
oh, on 153, yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah,
yeah.
any road that the buses travel for the most part, maybe not some of these.
No, but I was just saying that they do cross the road, so.
That's because the bus doesn't go back that way.
And I didn't think you did.
Depends on the route. If you go up and down the same road, yeah, then you drop off on both sides.
Down
If you
goes-
don't, like
down Middleton,
between
then goes
Decreasio
up.
and Ridge Road, they only go one way. So whoever lives on that, no matter what side they cross.
And then they loop up and come across Ridge Road, something like that.
They come up
whatever.
and come Ridge Road, then come back, yeah.
And then back to the Operation Safe Stop, when I spoke to Mary Ann, she had a list of towns where the bus drivers reported the most problems. She said Middleton was maybe 153, there wasn't a lot of complaints, so, and I know Lieutenant Volbell actually spoke to one of the bus drivers, and he was out there visible and, stopping cars around the buses and stuff, trying to.
I guess from personal experience teaching in White Plains, New York for 30 years, the kid was killed doing exactly what I talked about. They walked in front of the bus to get to the other side of the road. You're right, cars blow by the bus, and that's how the kids get hit. I don't know what can be done. I know it's a small town, and I don't know about going down and back on the same route, but it just seems like it's a recipe for disaster to have those kids, even with a bus parked in the middle, to cross the road to get to their house. Maybe there's not a solution, but boy, it sure is dangerous.
I would suggest that, your thing with this school safe or school stop signs.
Operation Safe Stop.
Yeah, that we remind residents, however we communicate to them, that you need to be cognizant of the school buses, even though the year is out, it's nearing the end, and then really make a push in August, and if we have to, I'm not saying increase patrol, but the presence and really encourage the bus driver, if somebody blows by, get that thing and really hammer that person. That driver could kill someone. So I would suggest that we really come down hard on those violators, and then the word would get around. And you're always gonna have somebody that doesn't care, doesn't hear anyway. But you might, enforcing those particular things might be a deterrent. They get to know, okay, we're getting pretty strict on going around buses or speeding through here and so forth, but I see you guys up here all the time. Can't be everywhere all the time.
Well, and I can tell you, 20 years of law enforcement, I've probably caught twice people in front of me passing a bus with red lights, because
Rare.
usually if you're sitting there, they see you and they're not blowing by. It's when these, on these back roads we're not around, that's when they think they can sneak around and not get caught. It's really
I
honestly
don't
like twice
understand
in
that.
20 years I've
I
seen
don't
it.
understand that. They're just,
This guy that blew by, pretty much tried to, he did stop on Silver Street last week. He also hollered out some choice words because he thought the bus was taking too long to drop off the kids. He doesn't realize I have to go on the bus to unbuckle one of them to get him off the bus, and he just got fit about it.
well, the bus doesn't leave until the kid is in his seat, right? Pick him up.
Right, but he was just inching his way and,
Well, when he inches his way, you get that plate number, he won't inch his way.
yeah, well, we tried, but we couldn't, because by the time that he was up there, nobody could see his plate, he was too far advanced.
Well, maybe that,
You know who he is, he runs through there every night.
No, I don't know who he is. It's a
John?
big black truck.
Why is it that Waste Management can't even cross the street to pick up the trash bag
safety
when you can
reasons.
cross in front of a school bus?
Yeah,
It's
you're
their
right,
policy.
Doesn't make sense.
yeah, you're right.
But that's an in-house policy of Waste Management, that's just a policy they got, because our rubbish guy, Jim, got
They've had-
let go because of that.
Yeah,
We've
'cause
had
he
enough of their
crossed
guys
the
get
street.
hit, that's why.
Yeah, and yet,
But that still happens.
what?
Well,
Oh, yeah,
They just gotta get caught by the supervisor.
that's it,
Yeah.
still happens.
In terms of your first request to change the detail price, if you don't mind, I'd like to wait a month and get some information from the surrounding towns to see where they are with this. What do you folks think? You wanna do it tonight?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I'd like to wait. Okay, all right.
Okay, so you want me to get the surrounding towns and ask what they have for detail rates?
Please.
They don't have an ordinance like we do though, right? Most of them. If you get outside of here and you see regular flaggers doing the details, not police.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
And that would be-
I can do that, I just, like I said, sometimes I like to be the trendsetter and not just a follower, but I'm happy to do that if you guys want. I just, like I said, the guys didn't
And
get
come
pay
back,
raises this year.
next month, okay.
I'd like to interject something. Please. With the police. If you saw these, which we all did, we saw these guys this winter standing out there. Didn't even know this guy when I drove by. $5 is. Go up on the other end, if you got to too, go up $10, give them $5.
I don't know if you know it or not though, Roger, that affects all of our light bills and everything, all the way down the line.
Yeah, true.
In the long run, but you guys did just say $50 was cheap for an electrician, like, a lot of people don't understand, it's a dangerous job and the details, you get people angry just like the school buses, and you're out there, you're not just sitting in your car relaxing and enjoying the air conditioning, watching TV.
Right.
And there's black flies and you're sweating and you're getting sunburned and, it's a rough job and it's the way that these guys supplement their income. Like I said, I'm fine, I think they make good money, I'm not complaining about poverty, but, the guys didn't get any pay raises this last year. And they were fine with that, nobody's taking it poorly, nobody's giving it, so I just thought that'd be a nice way to say, hey, they earned the town $100,000. I feel like $5 an hour, because I'm not asking to increase the over amount, I mean, the town makes money off the officers out there working, I'm just asking to give a little bit more back to them, give them $50 instead of $45. And then, like I said, I've talked to chiefs, I don't have exact numbers for you, but it's one of those things, everybody's starting to take that step to go up to 50. And obviously, it's up to you guys, you're the selectmen, but my thing is, we don't always have to wait for everybody else to make a step, it's happening. I mean, state police are $65 an hour for the officers. And to me, the troopers have an easier job, because you see them, they sit on the highway in their cruisers, they don't even have to get out and actually do anything.
Keep in mind, if you raise that 5 but don't raise it on the other end, then the town gets less money.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, he'll tell you at the house, there's all kinds of people that are anti-cop up there trying to get rid of details and all. So at some point, we're gonna have to face it and bite the bullet and say, we gotta find another way to fund cruisers and stuff other than the details.
Right. Are there some towns, chief, that do not allow their police officers to do details?
There are, so some towns look at it like not too many, most of them,
Right.
but they say it's an unneeded risk for the officers to be out there doing that, if they can have like
So
a
what do they
flagger.
use?
But
Flaggers?
they use flaggers, but they also pay their officers more than the town of Middleton can afford to pay their officers. These are like the higher, like Rye and those nice towns that have all the money in the towns. So.
But if it's a risk for police officers to be out there, isn't it a risk for the flaggers as well?
Yeah, but the flaggers aren't in the town, you know what I mean, so,
Farmington. If you go on that bridge right now, Farmington, $2.50.
Sandy?
Laura, how much does the town actually make on if they charge 75 an hour to Eversource, and say they make the 50, that leaves 25. Now, doesn't their retirement come out of that?
Yeah, Yeah,
And they're,
it depends on the officer.
There's very
Every
few.
officer is different.
why?
Because like Officer Volbell is a retired, so he pays retirement and the 401k and Medicare, whatever. And then, but like your part-timers don't do retirement, so they would make more for the town. So it
Okay.
depends on the officer.
But if I can, so what it is too, I don't remember the exact year, but at some point, I wanna say around 2008, they changed the retirement system, so the details that you earn do not count towards your retirement.
Right.
So then they can't then take money out of my details to put towards my retirement they're not gonna give me, so.
Your head's
Pe-
going like
people-
this and he's saying this.
Because if you're vested, it does. Like Officer Volbell, his every dime he makes on
Goes to
his
his
detail
retirement.
goes to retirement as well.
I don't know, but there's like, name one other person, I don't get it, McNeil doesn't get it, Cooper might,
Oh,
But-
before it used to be Randy and Tim.
yeah, but they're all gone,
And,
you know what I
well,
mean?
no,
So-
I know, but it's a full-time officer that's vested.
Yeah,
So it depends on who you hire,
It's
is
just,
the
I think it's
different
Cooper and
rates.
Volbell still take money out of their details,
So there's
but,
two.
yeah, but everybody else doesn't, so they don't get
So
taxed
they,
at all.
what do we actually make?
I'd have to look, cause each one is different. Each officer
Do
is
we make
different.
$10 an hour?
It's probably 25 or so.
It can't be 25 if you want, if you're getting 45 and we're getting 75. That's weird.
That's 30.
And that goes back into the general fund?
Yeah, no, but I'm saying if you take the
No.
$30 and you subtract whatever percentage, cause it's not a high amount, it's like 10%.
Any monies that comes from the detail that is earned from the details
Yes.
goes into the detail fund to purchase cruisers and equipment that
Goes
they
into the
use.
revolving fund.
So none of it goes back to the town?
No.
Yeah.
does
Well,
not.
you get a new
But-
cruiser, you do.
No,
Yeah.
I realize that, Joe, but when it was brought before the budget committee, the town was gonna be making $10 an hour for the cruiser sitting there. That's how Tim Brown and another officer brought it up to
It's not
the
how it
budget
works.
committee,
Never
Basically,
been-
the town
never
is
been
getting
that
the
way.
cruiser,
getting the
or
cruiser.
whatever they purchase with that money is town property.
Okay,
They don't actually get
The
money.
net, the
Okay.
net, the net
We just
funds
get new
from
cruiser.
detail
Yeah.
after.
we got all new cruisers.
Just good, go ahead, John.
Thank you. The way I understand it, the net funds after the officer's hourly rate go to the town to subsidize, like we said, for equipment. So that means that as a taxpayer, we don't have to expend
Yes.
funds on, to the taxpayer to buy a new cruiser, buy,
We do a lot of oil changes, tires.
whatever, yeah.
stuff related to
So
cruisers.
that is a tax benefit, if you will, that difference of, whatever it is, $25 an hour.
Right.
But that's also, we're supposed to cover the cost of the automobile on that too, or
Then we do, we cover
yeah,
gasoline costs.
gasoline costs for an 8 hour, whatever you're out there.
Yeah, she has a formula she uses.
Yeah,
It's $1 an hour in gas is what we,
dollar an
the
hour,
formula, yeah.
good gas.
Yeah, I think it's on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Buy some of that.
I think we ought to continue this at the next department meeting, the one in June, and have some more information by then,
Yeah.
all right? Yes,
I have to leave because it's getting dark.
you're up then, go.
It's on the
Wait.
desk.
Okay.
I had a couple more things I wanted to do them at the end, or. so-
Oh, no.
No,
I don't mind.
If she's gotta go, we got her information, go ahead, you.
Let her do it and then we'll solve it.
Yes, we have solvent, and if you look on there, it'll tell you exactly what the fire trucks get in, the fire department.
The ambulance revolving fund has $126,906.02.
How much?
126,906.002.
What happened to the 150?
No, that's different.
Oh,
That's a
oh.
capital reserve.
Okay.
This is the Comstar thing, that's where
Oh,
she's
okay,
coming from.
just
So,
being new here.
Comstar, we have 50,000 from the town, and then we have the,
That's why I laughed and said that.
another.
I was like, remember that. That's the deal.
Because the 50,000 needs to go into the capital reserve that was just voted on, so that's not in that number. I can give you all the numbers later.
Okay, that's okay, as long as you got.
I didn't bring them up.
All right, you all right?
Yeah, so right now we have a total cash available of $702,868.52.
Cash available?
Total cash available,
752,
702.
oh, 702, sorry, I thought.
702.
We can pay our bills for another month.
We have one.
All right, chief, please, back at it.
That's available.
Do you think that's a lot, Joe, John?
Ruben?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just, Too much?
I don't know, this is different than my first go-around, completely different, so.
So, I'll let
It's
Chief
not
finish
too much. I like
up.
it.
Let Chief finish up and we'll tell you what's actually in there.
Stop asking so many questions, you're only gonna be here for
I'm
a
not
year.
questioning it, well, no, that's okay, you don't need it. I'm good.
Alright, Chief, you have the floor.
So the next thing I'd like to discuss with you guys is a possible new hire. I've mentioned it to you previous about we were interested in him, now we've done all the background, we've passed all this stuff, and he's ready to go. I'd like to hire Devin Peugeot, it's Rocky Peugeot's son, he's a good guy, works for the Milton Fire Department and the Rochester Fire Department, but he also works for Milton Police Department part-time.
He also was chief here.
He was
wasn't
chief.
He was our chief
Fire
here,
chief.
yeah, back in the time, so.
Is he a police officer now?
He works part-time in Milton, so they sent him to the academy and they paid for all the training, and now he wants to come work for us. He doesn't have enough to
Full-time?
do. Just part-time, just as a part-time officer.
We have a space bill for part-time
We
officer.
do, yeah. And I think he'd be a great asset to the town, he's a good guy, I'd like to bring him in part-time as soon as you guys are willing to get him sworn in, so.
It's in the budget, you get the spot for it, I'm not gonna say no to you. I'm on it,
I was not impressed with him before, doesn't mean I wouldn't hire him, but, I remember when he was fire chief, and I was not overly impressed with him. Yeah. That was before Sam Morrow.
Right.
Yeah.
Sam replaced Devin.
Doesn't mean I wouldn't hire him part-time, I would not hire him back as a fire chief.
Well, good thing we don't have a fire chief opening right now.
He's a first chief.
So what kind of background check do you do? Do you do a standard background check, is that what you do?
It's a pretty basic, they fill out the questionnaire, which is a 20-page, and.
They fill out or you fill out?
They fill it out, and then the detectives, Detective Cooper contacts people, runs his III, contacts references, past employers, check his credit history, his driving record, and all that stuff.
That's the same background check that when we were gonna hire, when John and I were gonna hire the chief for the other, and we found out that, by Dave DuBois not to hire him. So, and I can tell you off to the side later on, the reason for it shouldn't be on.
Do we get to look at that, those reports?
Does it look good? Sure.
Yeah, let's see what
Okay.
So you wanna see those?
I do.
Yeah.
So you're saying DuBois recommended not hiring this guy?
No, this was another
This is something
gentleman
else. Okay.
altogether, this was way back,
Okay.
when John Mamone and myself.
Because we didn't get anything but positive feedback, and everybody that.
Who is the
knows-
guy?
Devin
Devin
Peugeot.
Peugeot. He's like a young, good-looking kid. He was, like I said, he was fire chief here a little while. Yeah.
Each part-time passes
You
the
do, right?
background check.
He's certified. He's, like I said, Rocky. It's her son.
He's not for the academy then.
Yeah, he's going to the part-time academy already, so we get the benefit of that. And,
Alright, so we get the background checks done, and then,
he's all been done and completed, psychological, physical.
Alright.
everything,
John, you wanted to see that before?
I do. Hey, I could.
So, you have them done already, so we could see them, right? Or you wanna have them done?
No, we're already
so.
done.
No, they're done.
Done, okay, so we don't meet next week, maybe the week after that?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll get that with you, Chief.
yeah, all right.
Close for two. Last thing, so as you know, we've hired a couple part-timers recently, we've been bringing the part-timers in at $20 an hour. If you guys would be so kind, I'd like to adjust Wade Bartlett, who was a part-timer. When he was around, at one point, we had bumped him up to 18, but he's the only guy now at 18, the rest of the part-timers are at 20. That just doesn't seem, we just brought Hyde back at 20, it just seems only fair to put him at what all the other part-timers are making, he's doing the same job they're doing.
Wade 25, he's out there all over the place.
Is he?
In Farmington.
I was gonna say.
He stops more cars up here in a weekend than they do in a week.
Farmington?
Yeah.
North
Oh, I
Farmington.
didn't know that.
How often is he working in Middleton?
It used to be one day a week.
Right, but I was gonna
Like
say,
Sundays.
it isn't anymore, is it?
No, so not to get into his personal history, but he didn't want to be the Sunday guy, because, he's got family members he wants to spend time with.
No,
like-
I just,
No, I'm just saying, so he didn't wanna do that, so he wanted to stay on and just be helpful here and there, but he didn't want the set schedule anymore. 'cause
so he's just,
Yeah, he's got like his full-time business of doing like the traffic accident reconstruction, working for insurance companies. So he likes doing the police work and he likes going out, but he just didn't wanna be the Sunday guy anymore.
What's he
so
getting for hours roughly per week?
I'd
How
say
long per month?
maybe at 8 per month now, he's cut down a little bit. And the only reason he's working so much in Farmington right now is because part of their hiring him part-time, was he has to train and get familiar with the way Farmington does things, so, and he pretty much, I spoke to Chief Drury about it when he wanted to get hired down there. They're pretty much hiring him just as an accident reconstruction guy, so they can call him in for bad accidents and stuff more so than.
How many part-timers do you have?
I believe I have 7, including if we hire Devin.
7, and full-time again?
4.
4,
So.
okay, thank you.
Budgeted for some.
If the other part-timers are all getting 20, I have no problem with it.
I'm just saying, just adjust them to where it's,
You're talking $16. That's not gonna be a
yeah,
month.
it doesn't work a lot, so it's not gonna really fill my budget or anything.
Alright,
1 to 3.
Anyway, I got it.
Well, no, wait a minute, the other ones aren't, they're not dead yet, they're just
That's fine.
suspended, just recessed.
alright, highway. You're done.
I'm done, I appreciate it, that's all I had.
Alright. How we doing, Rick?
No, fine.
Oh, fine.
Just getting ready for summer or spring, whatever it's gonna be for us. We're a little bit behind on some stuff, as you can see, but we will get the flags out before Memorial Day, and hopefully the roads will be swept before Memorial Day like normal, but everything is just a little bit behind on the schedule.
Okay.
And the site down here, I don't know if anybody's seen it, but that's progressing pretty well down there. Eddie's
Doing
been
a
all,
real good job down there.
yeah, Eddie's been all over that. There's been a few things in the plan that was designed by Norway Plains that was questionable when it got to out here in the field, which that kind of stuff happens. Stuff sometimes designed in an office doesn't work out here, so there's been a few adjustments made down there that need to be made, but no extra cost right now on the project. It's still staying the same. There's been no change orders or nothing like that as of this point.
Roger Maines has got up close and personal with that.
With that ditch down there.
Yeah.
And what's swimming in it?
Well, we didn't ask you to do that, but. So the pond is about done, they're getting ready to move up further, and like part of the plan was that when they need us to haul some materials to them, that's what we're supposed to do, that's part to keep the price the way it was, so.
Okay.
We've already hauled material to them once, now we're gonna get ready to haul the chip pile. Some of that chip pile's gonna come out of there and go to the other pit for erosion control anyways, when Butch Barron goes in to do that, so. Then they need some here for erosion control down there, so that's part of what we're gonna be doing in the next couple of weeks, moving that.
Okay.
And hauling some more 4-inch gravel down. Butch Barron's gotta finish up the pit up on the Kings Highway, he's supposed to be in there in the next week or so. I understand now we got the job at the school too, he was saying today, to do the ditch
Yes.
work down, so
Yep.
they did get hold of him, and he did come check it out, so. I got faith that that'll work when he's done
Well,
with it.
you recommend Bush and stuff like that, and the school board is very, very thankful that you did.
We'll get the water to go where it should go. It's been tried many times before. John knows a lot of people have tried it. So that's all good. We got some issues with the Ford F-250 patrol truck. Obviously, everybody knows that. It's rotted out pretty bad in the back. The transmission's starting to slip. It's got a skip to it. And on them Fords, the spark plugs, they say could go 100,000 miles, but I know people that have had them, they take them down to the dealership. And just to remove the spark plugs, to get the spark plug changed, some of them Fords is upwards of $800+ because of the location and where they rust into place. And it's not gonna pass inspection in September. So we're at a point now where do we put money into this thing and try to get it so it's gonna pass inspection? Or do we look at possibly a replacement for that vehicle? And I've run around, I've checked used prices, new prices. It's up to you guys if you wanna consider doing it, just wanna get rid of it, not even replace it at all. It is an asset to us. We all know that. And if we did replace it, we'd replace it with a rack body this time instead of with a regular body on the back, which would be even more accessible more feasible for us to use with the sign packages that we carry around rather than in the back of a truck. When we need them, they could stay in the back of a box on that truck. They'd be there all the time, so. That's something that we gotta address in the future. I got till September. We do have money, that money that we got from the state, that we're gonna put on the addition over there. Now I don't know if we wanna do the addition over there, cause you're getting closer and closer to having this down here. And the closer you get to having this down there, the closer he is to moving over there. And he's got money in his budget already to put that addition on over there, when he does get over there. So, I didn't see any sense in two departments putting an addition on highway garage, so
No.
that freed up like 38 grand right there.
If I recall, that money from the state has to go for something that has not previously been funded
Correct, or budgeted for.
or budgeted, so.
Right, and it has to be highway related.
Yeah.
So
That's-
have you got a cost on a vehicle yet?
We've done the state bid stuff, I went down through some of that, and the state awarded the bid to two, they awarded the bids from Ford and to Dodge. But in Dodge, I wouldn't even consider a Dodge, they've had problems with the Dodge front ends, Farmington just had a Dodge burn up with like 4,000 miles on it this winter. Don't exactly know what caused it, they're trying to blame it on the attachment of the plow, but they haven't really figured it out what exactly caused that yet, so. And then you get into the Fords, and they're running $32,000 to $33,000 once you put everything on them, like the rack body. The rack body on the back of a truck, if you buy a truck with a body already on it, they'll put a rack body on the back of that truck, and they'll give you $1,500 credit for the body that came on the truck. So what you end up doing is, for $4,000 you can get a steel body, for $5,500 you can get an aluminum body. So which most likely we want to do is put an aluminum body on, because it's like the ambulance, you'll be able to take that body off next time, put it on another truck, it won't rust out. And the thing
Plow
about,
or no plow?
with a plow, yeah, that come with a plow, and that's switching the bodies around. But the thing about looking, and I looked at some used stuff, but when you start looking at used stuff from municipality, what happens to you is, municipality automatically, if a truck's $50,000, automatically the town will get that for $42,000. GMC gives you an $8,000 municipal credit right off the bat. So down here at the Prezios, I went down here and talked to them, and they found two. They found a used one, a 2011, with 22,000 miles on it, but they can't cut you no deals with no rebates or anything because it's a used truck. That truck's gonna be $32,000. That's as much as a new, basically Ford. But they can set up a truck down there that the truck, if the average guy went in there to buy it, would be $53,000 and change. The town can go in there and buy that for 43 or less. Complete plow, 9-foot plow, all the plow frame, the aluminum back bed, the credit for the original bed that comes on.
So you're talking to the down here at the pre-shows,
Right.
how much?
43 or less.
And what was the Ford?
38.
So for $5,000, we have it local, we don't have to run it all over the place for warranty issues.
And that's a big thing that they were saying about the trucks, everything GMC is we just take down here. You don't have
Exactly, I
to
mean,
take-
and then if you go down, even if you go to Ford down here and, on Route 11 and stuff like that, it's still you have two people.
And you know how too up in Wakefield, they do
Yeah,
landscaping,
yeah.
they have a lot of Fords and they've had a lot of troubles
Yeah,
with them.
yeah,
A lot
and
of troubles.
I don't know, that Ford I got's a 2006, it's been well for us until now. I mean, it's slowly been going apart.
It has a time for
But it's
it.
a 2006, think about it, that's not bad, considering what it's been through. It runs into salt all the time out here, we're out here in it all the time with this
Yeah,
stuff,
but
so.
I was gonna say, I think it's the newer stuff that seems to be
Yeah.
crap.
Are you talking dual wheels in the back?
No, it's just a single wheel, it'd be a 2500, basically just like mine.
Just a
But
rack body.
it'd have the rack body on the back, of course, then you'd have some lighting put on it, but the lighting can be done out of your block grant money that you get too. We got 62,000 in block grant money this year. That's not that other money, that was separate.
Alright.
So you could put your lights on, and I think the lights, we could take the radio out of that, put it right into the other one, stuff like that, but the lights wouldn't actually fit into the newer truck. But that's just something to think about. It's up to you guys, how you wanna do it. The money's there.
Is there any trading value for the old one?
I just think you'd be better off to try to sell it outright, because they've already told me down there, don't bring it back for a sticker. So, if we go there, I don't think we're gonna get any money for it there. But I can't see why you couldn't get 2,000 to 3,000, maybe a little bit more for it, because it is a truck that's got a plow on it, that you could rip the back bed off and use it in your yard or whatever, but as far as the transmission parts, what's got me nervous.
So is that the really the best they can do down at the free shows, that 43?
Well, what I've ended up doing when they gave me that, and I already had other numbers that I already been talking about, I mentioned to them that was, you know, like $4,000 to $5,000 more than some of the lower ones, which is obviously it's a $40. I know I don't want either one, but I mentioned about snow tires and wheels. Would that come with a spare? Would that come with a complete set of snow tires and wheels, so that when I change my summer tires and snow tires, I wouldn't have to change and break them down? That if I can get that to be part of the package, if they could sweeten up the deal, that's where we've left it at right there.
And they said yes?
They haven't said yes or no,
Okay.
but I'm not in there, I'm not right in there, right, it's saying I'm ready to buy it right now, just like when you go buy a car. If you go down there with $5,000 in your pocket, you're gonna be able to talk a better deal if you go down there and you don't have any money in your pocket. So if it's more closer to the deal, and if that's what's the breaking point, almost in the record we've had with them, how much stuff we bought there, I wouldn't be surprised if that could be part of the deal.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say for 100% sure, but,
Well, geez, that alone, they did a couple grand,
well, yeah.
tires and rims.
Yeah, especially the ones we get, because they'd be studded, we don't want to be studded like the rest of them.
$500
So
$600 a tire, all pretty good.
that's as far as I've done on the research. The best place to start was with the state bid stuff, and when I found out that it was unfortunate GMC didn't get the bid this year either. The only other thing I can tell you about a GMC is that they found this, it's a 2017, it's brand new, it's red, which I didn't care about color at this point either, but it is red. You won't buy another GMC 2500 until 2020. They're not building them again until 2020. They're restructuring the GM plant. I guess the plant that builds the double cab trucks has got a big old line, and they can assemble like 14,000 trucks per month out of that plant versus the GMC 2500, 3500s. They can only assemble 4,000 out of that, so they're retooling the whole division. SUR was ready to buy 5 brand new trucks off the Prezios. They got the whole line ticket got kicked out because they've cut off the deadline on building. You won't be able to buy one of them until 2020 when they start remaking them again. So this truck's gonna be harder to get for a GMC down the road real quick.
All right, couple of questions, Rick. Are they holding that truck for you?
No, nothing's, I haven't promised nobody anything.
When are you looking for an answer?
When you're ready. I got till September with the truck. Is that gonna be there in September? I doubt it. I doubt it. And it is a 2017, but it's brand new, it's a leftover, 2017.
In terms of monies, how much is in capital reserve for the trucks?
The money that we got from the state is 38 and change.
Right.
Yeah.
The capital reserve is,
14,735 in the capital reserve, so you have a total of 53,130.
No, pay for it.
What's that called?
Mad money is what Rick calls it.
slush
It was
funds, what you
free-
call
It
it.
was free money they can only be used for highways, so it is mad money.
It's that money Donald Trump sent out to all the towns. Some towns got 258,000, we got like 44, and we loved every bit of it, so. We used a little bit for snow tires for the trucks, that's all we've used out of it so far.
Well, what is your pleasure?
I think we're gonna move on it, instead of losing it. It costs us more money in the long run. So I guess we don't want.
Make a motion.
Are they not gonna get any new other trucks in, Rick?
No,
Oh,
this one here, this one, actually, they're getting this one up in another deal.
Oh, they located one.
Yeah, they did on
Okay.
locator, it's a 2017, it's a
Can't,
new
you can't start getting detail money, it's almost like a free vehicle, you can't afford not to take it.
I can't generate detail money.
You get what?
I can't generate detail money to buy my stuff,
Yeah,
so,
it'd be nice if somebody else bought their own vehicles.
you know.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow Rick to proceed on purchase of the new 2017 GMC through the pre-shoes down here. Not to sort of see the 5,300,
It won't be that,
$53,130.
it won't be that.
Just saying.
Second?
More discussion.
How many trucks do we have out right now that are on bond? Or are they
Leasing?
Lease purchase, do you know what that is?
Just one, I believe.
Just one?
That's Eddie's, that's the 2014 or 16,
Don't we have an excavator or something too?
that excavator, yeah.
So there's two.
I think, is this year the last?
We finished the
payment?
paying off on, I believe, the excavator.
One of them, I think this year is the last payment.
On the excavator?
I have to look which one, I think there is
And
one.
we own
now.
that outright?
I can get
We
that
will,
information.
yeah.
Okay.
then they
Rick,
can-
if we buy this now, what do you need in terms of your bigger trucks for March of next year? You looking for another one or
I
no?
think you'll probably be all right for at least another year, maybe 2 on the bigger trucks. I believe. I mean, I got an 03 over there, but it's in real good shape, and I want to hang on to it as long as I can because it's the only truck that doesn't have emissions on it. So that's the one truck that I know I won't have to worry about computer failure on. So I want to squeeze all I can out of that, but that's down the road. I'm hoping a couple of years before you need anything else. So.
Would you look to like rebuild the engine in that instead of having to get a new one?
I'd like to
As soon
replace
as
the
I'm
dump body.
done with the conversation here. Anything else? One way or another for this? All right, ready for a vote? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. What else, Rick?
The other thing I got is, you know, we got a lot of road damage out there. Obviously, during the winter, during mud season, during posting season, during all that, we've got a substantial amount of road damage, which is mostly alligator cracking road damage in the roadways. Kings Highway, in my opinion, pretty much got destroyed during this winter. This section out here in front of Freddie Ames is only 2 years old, and that's all completely alligator crack now to the point where it's got to be something done to it. I'm not going to be back up there, Shim Overlane up there, probably for another 3 to 5 years. By the time we come up the Ridge Road and finish over around the Lakelands area, I'll be 3 to 5 years up here. If you didn't notice, the new section, the New Durham Road here, from Buttermilk Lane to Drew Estates, I don't know if you noticed all the spider webs and the alligator cracking in that road also. That road's only a year old, so I don't know what we're gonna do about enforcement of this road weight limit stuff, but we're gonna have to do something. And the thing I can do now is to back down on laying out new hot top this year and go to what they call not an oil seal, but a chip seal. An oil seal was good back in the day for what they were doing back in the day. Today these cracks are getting bigger that they've actually come up with a chip seal that they go out there and they'll do chip seal your road with chips and oil. And Allstate Asphalt's the whole application. They'll come in and they'll apply the stuff, they'll come in and they'll sweep the road off, and this all happens within like 3 days. If they come in and sprayed that road and then chip sealed that road, they'd be in here the next day to sweep off what they could sweep off. The day after that, they'd come in and sweep off more. If there was another requirement, they'd come in and sweep it off until the road surface is clean, except for the chips that go into the cracks and onto the surface of the road.
Is that what they did with 153?
That was a liquid seal type. If you go up in New Durham, on the section of New Durham that they did before, they paved it again now, but that was a chip seal application. And you're starting to see it a lot more in a lot more towns. I was supposed to have numbers today from Bruce from Allstate, but he didn't get them to me because he's gotten substantially busy on this part of that service that they provide. But what that's going to send with it is, because once you do that, they found that a lot of people, residents, are asking the questions about why did you put that on my road? Because they don't want, some places don't like it. Rather than having the road agent or the selectman getting asked the questions all the time, and have to come up with all the information and all the theories of why you do this stuff, they come with an informational packet that comes with that them pamphlets will be right in this office. So if somebody questions about what you did, why you did it, how much it saved money, and how much it extended the road surface, they could read that and figure it out rather than us to sit here and school them on how to do it. So it makes it easier for you guys to have to explain it or myself to explain it. I already know what the savings are. I haven't done it because I've been getting around pretty decent and covering this stuff with pavement, but there's no way I'm gonna cover. By the times I get there, I'll be putting out more cold patch than you need to, because stuff got stove up. You see the pictures, I showed you the pictures. That's why them roads are posted. I mean, when you get a picture of a tractor trailer parked in front of the municipal office, a week and a half after the road's posted, something's gotta be done somewhere. None of my title, or any of my guys' title over there, has the word enforcement in it anywhere. So, our hands are tied. We're just asking for some help. I don't know what you wanna do, but if I had to estimate, to fix that Kings Highway, you're looking well over $400,000 to fix that road. That happened over this winter.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one saying that. Even the residents up there, you know, some of the residents up there, they're somewhat road guys too. It's not just me that noticed that road moving around and got all damaged up. What I feel bad about is the honest person that came in and paid the $20 to get the permit to drive on that road in the morning when it was 29 degrees or less for 4 hours prior to moving. I collected like $220 off people that came in and gave me that money. In my opinion, we ought to just give it back to them. You know, I give a guy a permit because he came in to buy it to come out of there in the morning at 29 degrees, and I get a tractor trailer that goes by, and the guy asked me, that guy got a permit, what am I supposed to say? No, he doesn't. How come he isn't getting stopped? That's not my job. So I don't know what you want to do about it. I spent a lot of time on it. You spent a lot of time on it, John, Eddie, Laura. It's all an enforceable ordinance. Why it's not being enforced, I have no idea.
Okay, first of all, let me pipe up, because I'm honestly getting really annoyed here. I'm gonna try.
I understand you would be. We've had this
We
conversation.
are not truck troopers. I stop trucks when I see them, but if you want to get on record saying that you don't care about the DWIs, the domestic violence is going on, I will tell my guys to sit in front of your office and stop wherever you tell them to stop. They go out and they stop guys all the time for you guys, and quite frankly, I'm sick of you complaining about every truck that drives through this town because you don't like them, or they're on your roads, or personally, you're targeting truck people in town because you don't like them, and I'm not gonna be your little henchman and go out and harass people because you're unhappy with them driving on the roads. I've told you before, we will do what we can, but my guys have more to do. There's one guy on at a time in this town. I don't have guys to sit and watch the roads for truck drivers. If we observe them, we will stop them. But now the bus drivers are not happy because people are, my guys can't be everywhere at once. If you want to double my budget, I'll put 2 guys on a time and I'll give you 1 guy full-time assigned to your thing. It's just, it's getting, every time some truck drives down the road and you call me or you call my guys and complain the truck drive, I don't call you every time there's a pothole in the road and I need it fixed so somebody doesn't get a flat tire and sue.
No, you don't.
It's getting annoying.
You don't, but I'm not the one that needs a cop with me, but if you need more police during the mud season, during the posted season, maybe the selectmen might bless you with somebody to be out there to give you a little extra help to do that, if that's what it takes, because it's gonna cost a lot more than it would to have another officer out there, in my opinion.
I've been a police officer for 20 years. I've worked in 2 different states and 5 different departments, and this is the only department where the highway foreman was always all over our stuff about stopping trucks. And you don't see what we stop, we do stop them. I told you one day, I drove by you 5 times, driving up and down Ridge Road, watching for trucks to drive by me, because you were saying they were driving down Ridge Road, and I stopped some trucks. I just don't, trying to stay cool, I respect what you do, but, we have more jobs to do than just watch for truck drivers driving down the roads. I don't even have a way to enforce truck limits. I drove trucks, I know about driving CDL trucks, but unless you can prove it, it's just like a DB. I can't just pull somebody over and be like, you're drunk. I have to show that they're over their weight, and it's not as simple as saying, oh, that's a big truck, it's over the weight. State police, if they stop somebody and they want to write them, they have to pull out these $10,000 scales and put them under the trucks and weigh the trucks.
I thought we went through that.
No, our
when
ordinance
decided
isn't
it was
written that
just
way.
gross weight or something.
It is.
Marked on
So-
the truck.
And it's through the state of New Hampshire, approved by our lawyers, it's all legit. You don't have a scale, it's by what the truck is registered to haul, or open the door, and right on the door it tells you what the GVW is. That's what the whole ordinance says, that it's all in there about the whole thing. It's been, we called the state on it, and it's been sent to the lawyers twice and approved. And with the fines weren't in it, we had to put the fines in it. Everything's in there now. And you don't need no scales. It was drawn off in Northampton's thing. Some of it is theirs and some of it's our own, but it's all been approved by lawyers. There's no scales required. The fines go directly to the state. It's civil forfeiture money. There's no court required until after the 3rd offense. It's all on paper.
I quote, when I called state police truck unit to ask for help, because I said, we got some trucks in town that are, causing problems and they're pissing off my highway foreman, and, I'm trying to avoid, drama in town with this stuff. They said they had a direct order from the director of motor vehicle not to get involved in small town posting because it's a quote unquote shit show.
It's a what?
Shit show was what I was told by the sergeant over at the highway department, the state police guys, Troop G is what they call it. So I'm all for, like I said, I'm all for helping, but it's not the priority for the police department. I mean, we have town ordinances that say you can't have 2 vehicles in front of your house that are unregistered. We don't have the police going door to door asking to see why people have 2 cars unless you guys had an issue with it.
John does that.
Sometimes.
That's John.
So,
It's probably a good idea what you said, what the chief said too. During the mud season, is have the selectmen go ahead and put on that extra guy
if that's what it takes, I mean,
and then
whatever it's
that-
gonna take.
That way there, that extra guy could go around, look at, just during the mud season, and then the others, you know, watch that, morning and night, they'd have to be out there, and that's it.
Pretty much now you got 2 roads that are still posted, that are gonna stay, that's posted all year. So you got 2 roads that are posted all year, which one of them is a ridge road, but Chuck's going in here and he's not going out the other end, so that's all been good until he goes through all his blessings that you gotta go through, what I understand, that's what you guys agreed to. So that's the way it is, it doesn't make sense to get a truck going by a 10-ton sign, but if that's what you want to do, then that's just this strip of road. He has cooperated and hasn't gone out the other end for quite some time now. Where before he told us he wasn't, he did it anyway, but now he's kind of stuck with it. But that dirt part of New Durham Road is posted 10-ton, and there's 2 reasons why. Number one, the culverts aren't deep enough on that road to have anything heavier than that go over it, and it's to protect this tar section of New Durham Road also. Because when it comes off that dirt part, it's on this tar part. And sometimes they just keep going straight, and sometimes they just go the other way, but it's to protect the tar part of this piece too. So that's posted all year long. So that should be able to be enforced all summer if you happen to see a truck come out of there, when I see 2 come out of there today. But nobody else was there but me. I know you can't be in the same place all the time, but, I mean, when they're coming off there, the tire tracks, everything lead you right to here, and the roads are just getting stove up. I mean,
I hear you, and I'm just saying, we are out there. In fact, I talked to Chuck numerous times about not driving his trucks on that road, and to the best of my knowledge, he complied with it, other than his fuel truck, which he said he had to bring back because he didn't have fuel stolen.
Yeah, we talked to him about that. He has been cooperative, but as far as targeting people, there's 2 people that think I'm targeting them. One is Chuck and one's Lenny Melanson. Lenny was supposed to be here tonight, he didn't make it. I'm here, but he didn't make it. I'm not targeting either one of them. Lenny's lived here as long as I've worked here. It's been the same ever since I've been here, so there's nothing on the road post that's done any different, other than we increased that road 2 tons because he complained I targeted him by putting it at 6 tons. So I'm talking about most of the people I'm complaining about are the ones that are coming down the whole length of Kings Highway, because they're coming that way for reasons. I know you haven't got scales, but even in the summertime, you'd be surprised. Back years ago, we had trucks randomly get stopped out here. When other chiefs were here, every truck they pulled over out here was overloaded. That's why they don't want to go on the main roads, but I know they backed down that division now for the DOT guys to be out there stopping all these tractor trailers. They've cut that down, which that didn't make no sense that they cut that down, because I thought it was a good service, but they come through here because they're overloaded. 99% of them are overloaded, and they're staying off 28 and 11 and 16 to get to that mill down there.
Yeah, like I said, as long as you understand, we have been out stopping them, so I just don't appreciate making it sound like we're not enforcing anything or doing our job.
Chief, under the heading of, it's really not my business, it's your business. Am I correct in saying that stopping a truck, first time could be a warning, same truck, second time it could be something else, like a ticket? Is that
There's nothing set. It could be a ticket the first time, or it could be a warning 10 times in a row. It just depends, you know, on a lot of different variable factors. But you know, we stop trucks. It's just, I guarantee you, if I hit 3 guys on, you could drive around town and find somebody violating a stop sign, you know, or not, or speeding. It's just, like I said, I specifically have had conversations with my guys and told them watch for trucks and do this and that. But it's just, we don't go out and patrol just looking for trucks. You know, we got calls and we're doing paperwork and we're handling stuff, and sometimes trucks drive through, and it's like,
if someone sees a truck and calls you, are you able to catch up to that truck, or he's
it
gone?
depends on where it is by the time they get a hold of me, because the problem is they call dispatch, and then dispatch calls me, and by the time they call me, they're like, well, they're heading down 153 towards Farmington, unless you guys want me to do 150 miles an hour, I'm not gonna catch up to them. It's just, to me, I get it costs the town money to fix the roads, and, you know, but it just, there's a lot of things that we gotta deal with that, in my opinion, it may be different for Rick or you guys, but the trucks is very low priority as far as legally enforcing the law and going out. I mean, it's a violation, it's a town ordinance, which on the grand scheme of things, it's like you have a town ordinance, a violation, which is an uninspected car, a little bit of speed, misdemeanor and felony. Like, it's the lowest possible thing. Somebody's not stopping at that stop sign in the grand scheme of law enforcement is more important than somebody driving, you know, a 40-ton truck down the road. So like I said, it's just people have different priorities, and we work on it, and I know my guys have stopped them, I've stopped them, so it's not that we're not stopping them, it's just we're not stopping them at a rate that somebody might like us to stop them.
So, my question would be, if you're stopping them, are they getting tickets?
Not generally, because an ordinance, and this is one of the things I discussed with you guys, an ordinance isn't something you fill out on the side of the road like a motor vehicle ticket. The state has these tickets they give us, and you can fill it right out, and you give a copy, and you mail it to and it's different. An ordinance is, it's like, you almost have to do a warrant for somebody. You have to go back to the station, type up on this date, they were overweight, blah, 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 and you don't just hand them a ticket on the side of the road and go, here's your ticket, unless we try to come up with some kind of a way to do that, which there are ways to do it, but we don't have them, we don't have the
Because
tickets.
we don't have the form?
You need like a ticket form that would encompass like bylaws in the town, which is one of the things we discussed with the parking.
Right.
You could have it be a parking thing, a handicap ordinances rather than just, the summonses.
Where do we get one of those forms?
You'd have to have somebody pay to make them up, and it's not hard to do, it's just, you gotta make sure all your ordinances are in a line, and then you could hand the driver an ordinance, but.
Would that include the no parking, for example, if it's the same ticket, take care of overweight trucks and no parking? You just check off the right box?
Yeah, and then, and again, as far as, I know Rick says it's all legit, I honestly, if he says it is, I believe him, but as far as I'm just, like I said, with this weight limit thing, if somebody's driving through town with an empty flatbed, they have no truck on it, no tractor, and their truck weighs, I don't know, what's their average truck weigh with a flatbed, Rick? 40,000?
36, 40.
36,000, 40,000 pounds, but their truck's rated to carry 80,000 pounds. You wanna write them a violation for carrying 80,000 pounds even though they're going through empty.
No.
But that's how the ordinance is written.
No,
No, I don't think so.
So how do you write them?
that ordinance is written, I think the first offense is 100, second offense is 250, and the third offense is 1,000 or something.
Based on what though?
Well, you base it off the GVW of the door of the truck,
Which is
Gross
empty.
vehicle weighting.
which is empty.
Which is empty.
But the
The
fine
gross
doesn't change because it's so much. There's some towns that do 4 cents a pound over, 5 cents a pound
That's, you'd
over.
have to, you'd
That's
have to have
crazy stuff
scales
there.
for that,
Right.
to violate that.
Right, that was the crazy stuff
Different
there.
route with it.
Yeah.
We tried to go the simple, easiest way, which it's been approved by, we went to the state and it's been approved by not one lawyer, but 2 lawyers. We got 2, and we got approved by the second one, so that made us feel pretty confident it's right. You got a lot of faith in the second way yourself, right, Bill? So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's, when he said it was okay, the first one we kind of questioned, because we've been both ways with that guy, but the second one, and everything is legit, we tried to make it simple with the simple first, second, third offense. After that, then it's a different story, it must appear or whatever you do, but I don't believe you'd have the same guy do that 3 times in a row, because it gets expensive after the second time.
Chief,
So-
your experience with the state police is nothing new, because when I was previous selectman, there was concerns in trying to get the state, and they wouldn't give the department the time of day to come over and set a precedent. I mean, if truckers come flying down here at the beginning of mud season, you're all over the place, and the state comes with the word will get out that, oh boy, we better watch it. But I'm disappointed. I can see what the state police are saying. I can understand where they're coming from. Their resources are tight, just like everybody else's. So, but I'm disappointed that they won't even assist. But it's not new. It went as far back as when I first started here, 2008, 2010. So.
But and just so you know, I don't want you to take the wrong impression. They weren't.
I know where they're coming from.
They just wouldn't get involved in
the amount of
the
resources.
spring parking.
I understand the amount of resources they got to spend, but what we tried to do previously to get them here was, you need to help us out with resources here and so forth and so on. That would be an ordinance violation, but maybe, where I come from on the enforcement, and that's your job. But sometimes, just like you've done down here at the school, is have a presence in the beginning when school first started. I think everybody was cognizant up there, and you're not there all the time, which is good in a sense, if you look at it this way, because the same number of people during that school time drive up and down this road, pretty much. So they're pretty aware of what's going on there, but if you're not sitting there, and they don't know when you're going, because you're sitting all over the place. You're sitting down low, you're sitting, that's policing, that's what you should do. So maybe in terms of, and I understand the resources, I'm new to this game here in terms of the resources that you have and so forth and so on. But maybe we can work something out to make it easier in terms of paperwork and the parking things, to work on that thing where you, I mean, I received a ticket from the state police, the beloved Smoky Bears from New York State. And I got a summons, and I was pulled over on an expressway, not the thruway, expressway. And the reason I was pulled over because the state troop thought I was traveling tandem with another guy. And I was the guy in the front. And I was pulled over, and I told the officer, I said, that guy's been on my fanny since for 10 miles. And so he pulled me over, and he says, he gave that guy a speeding ticket, and he gave me, and he said, well, I gotta give you something because I pulled you over. That was his comment, because I didn't have my directionals on, my flash. That's okay. But the summons had all kinds of violation check boxes. And if it eases the paperwork flow for your guys to come back and do it, and they can issue some, I guess that's the way it would work, is that right?
It would be easier.
Easier. But I understand, but if it would, maybe it's easier, and then maybe, in terms of the springtime, I understand, there's a lot going on in springtime, we try to issue some of those as they come along and so forth and so on, the word will get out. And of course, we have a problem over here on New Durham Road when they come, you know, our signs are posted all over the place, and New Durham probably doesn't give a hoot about that road, because that road really is
They should
bad.
post it on the other.
You drive over that road all the time.
I do, so, and again, like I said, we could beat this up all night.
Yeah.
I'm willing to work with him, and I personally feel like we have, that's why I get frustrated when he makes it sound like we're not doing our jobs. But like New Durham Road, there's no reason for me to sit on New Durham
No,
Road,
I understand.
other than a truck coming through once in a while.
Well, I understand.
So is that fair to every taxpayer in this town, that their houses are getting burglarized on the lake, or people are driving drunk down the King, because I'm sitting on New Durham, a 1/4 mile stretch of dirt road that we have in our town?
That they're 160 on.
Yeah, but Ridge Road, I get, 90% of New Durham Road is in New Durham, so it's.
I get that, I was using that as an.
No, I'm just saying, but, and then the other thing is, like, I drove trucks, so when I stop a truck, 50,000-pound truck, and he pulls over on the edge of the road, he does more damage to the edge of that road than he does driving down the middle of the road. So I'm actually causing damage to our town roads by pulling these trucks over, because as they pull over, Rick will say, that's the worst spot, is the edge of the road to the pavement. And now, it's one of those things, like I said, just sometimes to me, it didn't seem like it was really that, I'm more than willing to have my guys work on it more.
It's a catch-22. What do? Do you enforce the ordinance, or do you let them go?
Well, we do.
I understand, but, you know, I mean, it's a catch-22 scenario.
Yeah.
The slower they go, the less damage they do, I would guess. But you're right, if you pull off the side of the road, I know, when a road is newly paved, I think Rick told me this thing, you know, the trucks weren't speeding or anything, but that road just spread right out about 3 or 4 inches on either side. That has nothing to do with anything other than that's the way the road was done, so.
I will continue to talk to my guys about working with Rick and getting these trucks, but like I said, it's just, we're not gonna get them all, unfortunately. We do get some, you know, I think writing tickets would probably help, but the other thing is, other than Rick, like I know Rick, this is his, like what he does, and he knows, so he sees trucks that he recognizes, but I don't see like the same truck all the time driving. And when the ones that I do
It doesn't
stop,
pass through.
yeah, but I'm saying like, it's not always the same guy, so like when I have stopped trucks, it's usually a different driver, and it does help a little bit if you stop them and say, hey, you know, but, you know, like if you stop like a FedEx driver and you write him a ticket, FedEx is gonna pay it, the driver doesn't. And a lot of times, to be honest, my bosses used to tell me, I don't give a crap about posted roads and all this stuff. They'd say, go, and if you get a ticket, just let us know, we'll pay it.
I disagree with that philosophy, because if we have ordinances and laws and they're not enforced, however they're enforced, then why have them? And just get rid of them. You know, I mean, we have laws up, we have New Hampshire state laws that have been on the books forever and ever and ever, and nobody enforces, nobody does anything. I don't even know why they're there, but they are. So, you know, I understand what other town managers or officials are saying to a certain extent. And certainly get that, and I understand the lack of resources, but I also understand that we need to protect our roads as best we can with the resources that we have, because if we don't, they can be very expensive to repair. And is it easy for us to determine if we let it go, they would go? I don't know. Could be. So that's all I'm gonna say. Okay.
Chief, looking ahead a bit, is it possible that other towns have the same problem we do in terms of enforcing ordinances? Is it possible that they have some ticket system that would cover various ordinances, including no parking, so that we could get a form?
Like I said, the problem with town ordinances is there's, I don't know, ask John, how many ordinances do we have in town that you enforce what you can, you have to try to prioritize what's
Right,
important.
it would be up to us to make the form, but do we have something to start with?
I'd have to look, I have a copy that Harding gave me from like Rochester for
Okay,
writing.
be glad to look at it and,
Yeah, make some,
I don't know where you are on your parking, your actual parking ordinance. I don't know if that ever completely got finished or not. I know we got a parking ordinance, blankets the whole town.
that was
You're not
for
supposed to
parking.
park beside any road at any time.
Right.
I know we put a no parking sign down here, someone, at that time, I guess we had to have, you gotta make an ordinance for that, I believe, to enforce that area down here, what I understand. Your other ordinances, a lot of them put it in for the winter, but ours is you don't park side the road anytime
Right.
here. But then again, we've had this discussion before, up in Drew Estate, some places people have parties and park on one side of the road, if there's no danger for fire trucks or anything like that, then that's no big deal. But in the winter, obviously, we have issues with plowing and people parking in the road, and now we're all grading, and we got cars parked side the dirt roads over there on the lake too. So that's probably why that was it before I got here. That all year long, no parking ordinance. Was there anything else put on paper? I don't know.
I'd be glad to work with you. They can have a rough form from some other town and modify it for us, so that your paperwork doesn't take forever to do. Right? It does not make sense to have to go back to do a warrant or whatever at your office.
That's what I'm saying, so it's one of those, it's easier to stop them and say, hey, you know you're not supposed to drive on these roads.
Right.
I don't mind doing it, my guys don't mind doing it, but it's just not as easy as, and you can't make the truck driver sit there while you run back and fill out the paperwork.
Shouldn't.
So now you gotta try to get this guy.
Or you would have to say, follow me,
Right.
right? You gotta stay here.
Or just follow him, he's going to the mill.
And then park over there in front of the town hall, which is a no-no.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just, that's one of those things, we can work on it, but it's just, it's easier sometimes to say, hey, just let
All
it
right,
go.
have we discussed this enough for tonight, with some ideas for the future?
Let's move on.
This chair is getting hard, folks. It's been 2 hours and 30 minutes sitting in
Busy
this
night.
thing.
You're up, John.
We'll get you a padded chair next time. If we go over 3 hours, you'll be happy.
Any meeting that lasts more than 2 hours, any psychologist will tell you you're not gonna get anything more out of it. You're wasting your time.
We're ready to listen to you.
All right.
Well, then let's go.
I have, for the health department, I have a meeting on the 24th. It's an all-day session. It's gonna be covering ticks, which will be concerned with the fire department and health. And it's also gonna include fencing around swimming pools and that type of thing. Code enforcement. We're making progress on a failed system on New Durham Road. It's only taken 6 months for the DES to finally act on the complaint that I filled out. They now have a designer that's going to be doing a design. It'll only take another 3 to 4 months to get the system changed. While we live with you-know-what dirt that came out of the old one and just thrown on the ground. The problem with the timber cut that we had up there across from Jones Road, I think Rick and I handled that pretty good. First of all, we had trucks going on that road, tracking mud a quarter of a mile or more in both directions, no signs up. They put gravel down, they put stone down, it was 1 truckload of stone to cover an area that should have had 5 or 6 loads of stone. But they did come back, I told them I was gonna shut them down. If they did it anymore, they cleaned up the road, they swept it and everything. They did a good job. But they had to be told.
So,
You know about that, right, Joe? That part of
my
it?
thing is, we don't have any so-called, somebody comes in for an intent to cut. They're supposed to get the paperwork approved prior to doing anything on that land that's to be cut, if it's on road access, correct? So, they're up there cutting, and we didn't get the intent to cut until after the job was pretty much done. So, basically, they're supposed to post on a sign someplace that they've been approved to cut that wood. What we need to do, in my opinion, would be, and we need to look into possibly coming up with some kind of a system where if they decide they want to go and cut, with all the proper approvals in place and posted the proper way, there's gonna be a stiff fine associated to it.
I don't even know about timber cuts. I don't get any paperwork on
Okay,
that,
well, we look,
right?
my idea, we
So, I should be
figure
included
it
in
out.
the loop on that.
No, we're gonna figure it out, because
Okay.
there's no way I want people coming in here and just willy-nilly doing what the hell they want to go, and all of a sudden here we're done. It's foolish.
We did work on that part though. You will start getting
Yeah.
the same thing that we used to get from
Yeah.
Pam. She started to do that again.
And
I
it-
got one the other day, so you will start getting those again,
And
because those are useful. But I didn't even know.
It
We used to get
works
them from
good
Pam,
when
but we
we're in the loop.
Went up to speed, so
Monthly
Yeah,
reports.
she'll update us. But we didn't know about it. We just started getting complaints about mud on the road up there. I knew it was supposed to happen, but I didn't know it already happened because I knew that the intent wasn't signed. But he just went in there
He
and
had an
started.
intent that,
Wasn't signed.
well, no, it expired. I think it was for last year. So then he submitted a new one, but then he went and did the work before he got the.
Yeah.
But do they get notified that it's been signed? I don't know how that part works. Usually the work's done and then we get the intent.
They usually would come in here and see if their intent was signed. I mean, as far as the temporary access, he knew he had to have that. He knew that when he first
But
went
don't
with
they
the
get
excavator.
something? Because when Mike Schwartz was here, he said there was something on a tree on Tufts Road that he saw.
I believe that's
Is
what
there-
Joe
That's
was.
what I
That's
said.
when they're supposed to post their
Right.
permit.
It's like a
So there is a
color-coded,
permit.
it could be like a color-coded
Right.
8x11, whatever. It says, you know, sign the date, intent to approve, sign the date, whatever. And they should post it somehow.
Do
Right,
we?
it's like posting a building permit, right?
Yeah,
Right, same
exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
Do
But on a dangerous curve like that, they have to have signs on the curves
did they-
telling
okay,
people
I told him that.
that they're cutting.
Do we have
They finally put them out there.
the ordinance for, all this work that they have to do for the roads? I don't know, I don't wanna hand out 17,000 pieces of paper with each intent to cut, but there are certain things that you have to do, you know, the way you have to get in and out, we don't.
Not that I'm aware
It's
of.
all
Okay,
right.
maybe-
It's
maybe-
all right in the driveway ordinance. Everybody.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
okay, so
already-
maybe what we ought to do with, I don't wanna pick on loggers per se, but they're not the only ones, because
No.
you know.
No, even house lots can have the same
You know,
problem.
people will, we have snow problems, and then I had a guy down in Pinkham Road that was, I mean,
That's
that's
a different
gone now.
ordinance.
Huh?
That's a whole different ordinance. There's a snow plowing.
No, I
ordinance.
know that, but I mean.
But your
maybe-
driveway
maybe-
ordinance covers a lot. You know that.
Yeah, maybe what we could do in terms of what you're doing here is, develop a little handout sheet with a little bullet saying, okay, Mr. Logger, or or Logger or a construction job, be aware of this, 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 and this before you start anything.
Right. If you read that driveway
And then you
ordinance,
reference.
any
that-
question you'll have pretty much get answered if
Yeah,
you
but
read the
then-
whole thing.
So that you're not, I mean, we printed up those driveway permits, and probably what we should have put on the back are, you know, some bullet things to be aware of this, this, this. We had so many of those printed up that, you know, maybe.
Yeah, we're all set. And then we
Yeah,
got-
but I mean, maybe we could have a piece of paper that says, okay, when you get an intent to cut, or you need a permit for construction equipment, which is in there, you just hand them this and say, okay, I'm gonna give you this permit, But these are the things you gotta be aware of here.
Temporary access, it was like up there, when that was done up there, that was a temporary logging access.
Right.
On that permit, it was written on there that he needed signs on both sides of that job. When
Well, that's
he
part of
first went in there, he never put any
No,
signs,
that's a violation.
and he put the mud out into the road.
He knew then that you needed the sign because I told him.
Yeah, that's,
You know,
but it was all on the permit. That he never
just to
picked
point
up.
out one quick thing, we had septic tank trucks coming in here, and Rick and I got together, and we said, if you see one coming, you let me know. They call me now before they even come in town. Even in the winter when the roads are, or in the spring when the roads are posted, they got to get permission in order to come in here and pump a septic tank. It better be overflowing out of the ground or they're not coming in. It's as simple as that. They all know it now. I tell them right point blank, you either abide by this or you're not coming in here.
So in terms of the forms, can you, John work on getting
Well,
a list of Laura or?
Yeah, I mean,
What form?
I would suggest putting it online because they go online, they print those forms. They don't always come in and go, oh, I'm looking to do this.
whatever
I think
medium,
we should do a list. of
whatever
what you need.
medium we have available to those people that take out the
Who's gonna make
permit,
the list?
these are, well, we can get.
Collaboratively, I think. I mean, there's too
Yeah,
many.
we can,
John?
the planning board wrote that, well, you wrote it, I guess, but we did a lot of research on that. So, you know, I'll take part of that to kind of give them.
Pretty much what we do, if they apply for any kind of a driveway permit, any kind of access for our right of way, automatically they get the driveway permit, they fill that out themselves, or fill out the bottom, and I
Yeah,
come
we
in.
could put on.
But they also get a copy of the driveway ordinance, which explains everything
Oh,
in
they
there.
do?
You're correct.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Number one.
Oh,
The whole thing.
so the whole thing.
That's what I'm saying,
Exactly.
though, if
That's
they're
what-
gonna log, they don't get that, cause they don't come here and ask or
Oh, okay,
anything.
well then, all right, then we put
That-
frequently asked questions type of
Yeah.
scenario.
And-
And you put a 5 down, for further reference, here is a copy of the ordinance.
Cause I had said that before about building permits, like people don't know, am I putting windows in, do I need a building permit, am I doing, they don't know, so a list would help people know, go online, yep, I need a building permit, you know what I mean, like
Yeah,
that's.
DES has, when you try to get a permit from them, they have like a one-stop shop, and I'm not saying we do this, because it's a programming scenario, but you go in and you say, okay, I have a dock. Okay, how long is the dock? Where is it? No, you don't need a permit. Or I'm gonna put a wall in, you list a bunch of questions. I'm not saying don't take this the wrong way, I don't think we need to do that, I don't think we're that sophisticated.
All right, I wanna move along, please. Go ahead, John.
One last thing. A lot of people have been calling, asking about town-owned property. They're interested in buying it. Is there going to be some kind of a auction, whatever, again? And
Talking about, not right
I want
now.
to tell you, we're getting a lot of building permits for new homes, construction, remodeling, you name it. Or it's the 14th of the month and I've got something like 20 some odd hours marked in for this month already. And I don't see any let up because I have to be here for 2 tomorrow morning in a meeting with Roger. So things are getting busy.
2 in the morning?
Mustn't stay here.
Not 2 in the morning.
Oh, 2 in the afternoon.
Two applications at 8 o'clock.
I was like, wow.
You've been here too long.
I was gonna say, you better just camp out
All right.
upstairs.
In an effort to move along, Roger, anything from
I
planning?
got nothing.
Thank you.
Oh, that, Roger?
No,
I wanted to,
what day?
And I have a set of keys to turn in
That
from
paper-
Al
that
Poulin
paperwork
on the
is showing up.
ZBA, who is no longer there. He gave them to me
okay,
to give to you.
Who's that?
we'll get it.
But everything else is cool.
All right,
Who's on there for 20
in the interest of closing the night out, anything from you, Roxanne?
Don't even
Well,
start.
now that you
Don't
find.
start.
Don't get her started. Oh,
No. Nothing that can't wait till another one.
Yeah.
How about you two?
put that notebook away.
Anything?
It's pretty thick.
All right, it's 9:05, I'd take a motion
What?
for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn at 9:05.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.